It's been 406 days since we last saw one of the greatest upsets in history at the Adelaide Oval, and this afternoon the Crows will hope history repeats as they host the top of the table reigning premiers Melbourne. Adelaide found their feet last week in Hobart, knocking off cellar dwellers North Melbourne by 59 points. But it's an entirely different task today against the Demons outfit, who dismantled fellow top four side Brisbane to re-establish their aura. Luke Jackson is out for the D's with a knee injury. Mitch Brown is his replacement. Matt Crouch remains on the outer for the Crows, but Riley Thilthorpe is back in for them. No other late changes named at this stage. Aaron Bryans to call the action alongside Neil Cross, your experts this afternoon as well. Carlton Premiership player Scott Camporelli and Port Magpies Premiership player and coach Stephen Williams. Crossy, a big week in SA footy as we're about to touch on the passing of Neil Curley at the age of 88, an icon in SA sport, four-time Premiership player, Hall of Famer in both SA footy and Australian footy as well, and a state captain. It's been felt across the state really this week.
Exactly right. And for our Victorian listeners or those around the country, he is the equivalent for South Australia of Teddy Whitten. He is Mr. Football, or was Mr. Football.
We're going to have a minute's silence here at the Adelaide Oval to honour Neil. Let's head downstairs.
Coach and administrator. He was a key person involved in the formation of the Adelaide Crows, helping to recruit players for the inaugural squad. He also served as football manager alongside Graham Corns during the club's first season in 1991. Neil was a proud and passionate South Australian who had an incredible record of getting the best out of his teams in which he played or coached. As a coach, he led 5 SANFL clubs and won 4 premierships. Please turn your attention to the screens as we honour a true South Australian football icon.
No one's more passionate for South Australia and for the Crows than me. I watch every game. I write down my notes. I love it. I love it. I have a theory in football. It applied then and it still applies today. You've got to be totally committed. You've got to be loyal to your teammates, and you've got to use the ball well when you get it. Winning to me was very, very important. No enemies, fellas. We don't take enemies. We take scalps.
Would you now join us in a minute of silence honouring Neil? Thank you.
A minute's silence for a legend of SA football, the late Neil Curley, who passed away at the age of 88 during the week. It's great to have your company this afternoon on ABC Radio and Sport Digital for round 16 action. The Crows and the Demons in action. Campo, Stephen, didn't get the chance to properly welcome you before, but doesn't shape up as a big game on paper, but we've seen some big results between these two sides before.
Oh, this is a big game, particularly for both teams. I mean, Melbourne got their mojo back last week against Brisbane, a premiership contender, and they obliterated them, Steve. And then Adelaide, they've gone from the bottom of the ladder to the top of the ladder in 6 days, to be fair. So this is a real test for Adelaide once again in a in-form Melbourne team that looking forward to getting their season not going but heading towards finals again.
Exactly right. They lost 3 in a row, bounced back, didn't they, against the Lions with a really impressive win. The Crows did what they had to do down in Tassie. They weren't it wasn't a great game of football, but they won by 50-odd points, so they got done what they needed to get done. But now's a real test for the young players. They've talked about the development of their team and the younger players starting to get better, so they'll be tested today against the Premiers.
The fifth member of our commentary team this afternoon downstairs is Liz Walsh, who has her eye on the coin toss. Welcome, Liz.
I do, Aaron. Thank you. And welcome from a very picturesque Adelaide Oval today. It's got an unusual crisscross pattern all across the grass. To the toss, the Demons have won. They're going to be kicking to the northern cathedral end of Adelaide Oval. I'll quickly run through the benches for you too. For the Crows, Josh Rochelle, Harry Schomburg, Wayne Millerer and Patrick Parnell will be starting on the bench, with Lockie Scholl as Adelaide's medical sub. And for Melbourne, Toby Bedford, Jake Bowie, Tom Sparrow and Mitch Brown will start from the bench, while Adam Tomlinson is the Demons' medical sub.
The Crows will wear black armbands in honour of Neil Curley. They're also in their Indigenous Guernsey with NAIDOC Week approaching. Melbourne, meanwhile, in their traditional red and blue strip. Great to have your company. As I said, the text line, if you'd like to get in touch across the afternoon, 0437 774 774. Earlier today, the Bombers defeating Sydney by 9 points. Still to come, the Suns and the Pies, and the Cats and the Roos. At the moment, though, it's the 5-9 Adelaide, stuck in 13th, hosting the top of the table, 11-3 Melbourne. Are the D's truly back? We're about to find out on Grandstand AFL. Here's Neil Cross.
So Max Gawn out of the lineup for Melbourne, and Wiedemann comes into the ruck opposed to Riley O'Brien for Adelaide. And here we go. Be very interesting to see how the Crows start. Out of the middle, Viney with the first kick out towards centre wing, picked up by a hinge for Adelaide. Off to Chase Jones, running off half-back. Down the line he goes. Hibbard comes forward, meets the ball, slips a hand pass on the boundary line to Langdon. Over the top, looking for Pickett. Actually hit him on the head. Chase Jones back there again. Pickett stands up, ball loose. Finally, it comes out for Adelaide and they whip it through the hands. Saligo went to ground but still got it to Dawson. Wide he goes off to Chase Jones and again off his left foot, this time successfully.
Hits Rowe just behind centre wing on the eastern side. Good crowd in attendance as well, despite the overcast conditions. Kicks a little wide for Keys and it's out on the full. He only popped it about 10 metres, Campo, and it still wasn't accurate.
Well, they are the 16th worst kicking team in the competition, so we just saw firsthand once again.
Stephen May with the pill for the Demons, heads towards the 50. Spoil from Murray, knocks it down straight into the path of Oliver. Awkward bounce, he had to jump to get it. Got a handball out to Harms. Flat kick, a bit too short in the end. It bounced up for Petrarca. Got a handball clear wide to Harms, just inside the 50. He couldn't gather off the bounce, became the tackler. Jones at the fall of the ball. Got a handball out for Adelaide. Tried to get it to Smith. Now Keys, just threw it on the boot. Tumbles up, hits Laird. Now uses Berry. The Crows can rebound through the eastern wing. Heads down the line, was intended for Fogarty, but Petty does well to come across and cut it off for the Demons.
Straight away on the 45, he goes to Neil Bullen, centre of the ground. Spreads it to this side of the ground to Jordan, and then another mark further on from Spargo at half forward. Inside 50, he goes with a kick a little high, but it comes off hands. And Brown at the back gets a goal. Oh, Dawson had a mark there for the taking.
I think it was Murray.
Oh, it was Murray, was it?
Yeah.
Who had it there for the taking, slipped over the back. And Brown pounced for the first of the afternoon. 1 goal straight for Melbourne.
Well, once again, they're the best intercept team in the competition. They score off that. They're the best at that. And you can see straight away, as soon as they get that ball, they just shift the ball. They change the angles of the game, and then that opens up. And then what happened was there was an extra player, Steve. Adelaide defenders start rolling up, and then all of a sudden there's one out the back. But it's what a pet hate of mine, Steve, I'm sure is yours as a coach. If you can double fist a ball, surely you mark the ball.
Exactly, yeah. Well, it was the Crows' turnover, wasn't it? Going inside 50, they had the ball. I think it was Berry, and just the kick wasn't good enough. It was just sat it up in time. Melbourne intercepted, and from that point on, they owned the footy.
So Melbourne strike first through Ben Brown, his 19th goal of the season. They've got the early lead. In the middle, Wiedemann won it down, intended for Viney. High tackle late in the process. It will go to the man who received 10 coaches' votes last week. The former co-captain Jack Viney hands it off to Brayshaw, running off half-back. Through the spine he goes into the 50. Long kick intended for Brown. Pat collides, spills out to the 100-gamer Fritsch, who tackles high on Berry. Wasn't paid. Dawson can clear it anyway. Errant kick straight into the path of Hibbert, who's at right half forward.
Hibbert arcs around on the left foot, sends it into that scoreboard pocket, sends it wide. Petrarca, perhaps the man he was aiming for, but he put it out on the full. Duday will come across, take the kick for Adelaide. Slight breeze, judging by the flag over there, going across the ground towards that scoreboard almost. Duday clears the area down the line. Walker comes and meets it well ahead of Wiedemann. Plays on now from left half back. Sends it long and turns it over. May with the intercept for Melbourne, and off half back he runs.
Uses Salem, had to duck and weave around Chase Jones. Kicks on the 45 inside to Brayshaw. He had to fend away Saligo off the bounce. Did well. Kicks wide to Jordan, who has space to run into on the western side. Down the line he goes to Spargo, just behind left half forward. Had the lead of Neil Bullen, didn't want to use him. And now the Crows have zoned ahead. He'll have to bang it inside 50. Left forward pocket. Fritsch has some space on Murray. Takes it just outside the 50, the tightest of angles. Bailey Fritsch, game 100. Had 7 goals the last time these two sides met. Pops it up towards Ben Brown. Through his hands. Petrarca at the back. Snaps for the D's second. Melbourne hot early. They're up 2 straight 12. The Crows yet to score. 4.5 played.
Well, it's just great skills again. I mean, once again, the counter punch from half back. We're probably going to say it a few more times, Steve, but I was watching, and I've obviously coached against Melbourne, and what they do really well is Lever, May and Petty. What they do is they let Walker, which we saw, he can lead up into density. He can have that ball at half forward, at Melbourne's half forward, Adelaide's half back. He's got no one to kick to. So he's actually kicked it to a 3v2, and May, who's his direct opponent, ends up kicking it straight to him. And then they just shift the ball to the open side of the ground, and then it's game on from there. So understand what Adelaide are trying to do, but they've almost got to hold their forwards back and not engage those guys, and that midfield group has to work to get those marks.
Just a carbon copy of the last goal, wasn't it, really? From the back half again.
So out of the middle, Adelaide get the tap towards Berry. He didn't know what to do in the end. He just hand passed it in front of him. Turned it over. Langdon with a forward hand pass. Harms was trapped, but he got it off to Oliver. All this now at right half forward as Oliver chips and finds Langdon on the chest. Takes his time, chips it over the top. Oliver running hard ahead of Berry, takes it just outside 50 and outside the boundary line. He's allowed to play on. Sends it to the goal face off hands this time. Scoreboard pocket. Chase Jones sees it over for Adelaide. We'll get a throw in.
Well, big job. Berry's trying to get to Oliver. Saligo's going to Jack Viney. So a couple of not necessarily physical beasts in there, but certainly getting some experience against the best players in the competition.
Wiedemann in the ruck again against O'Brien, who wins it down. Put it in the path of Laird, immediately tackled by Harms. O'Brien comes to assist. Gets the handball out for the Crows to Hinge, then Duday, now Scholl. Or rather Hinge. Scholl's the medical sub today. Out of defensive 50 they go. Walker flew, couldn't bring it down. High contact, free kick to Melbourne. They'll take the advantage. Salem to Wiedemann, spears it to the chest of Brown. The late inclusion for Luke Jackson takes it 45 out, straight in front.
The Crows just aren't able to find that kick coming out of their back half, and it's just kicked back to the Melbourne numbers. They're winning the ball, sharing it, and then pretty precise with their movement inside forward 50.
Well, 44% to 81 kick efficiency at the moment.
Decent form coming in for Mitch Brown. He had 6 goals in the VFL. Loads up from the pain of 50 and carries all the way home. 3 straight for the D's to start at the Adelaide Oval. The Crows yet to score. Gee, it's been an ugly start so far. 7 minutes through on Grandstand AFL. Your experts, Scott Camporelli and Stephen Williams.
Well, the time in forward half would have to be up around 90-95%. I don't think Adelaide have had not an inside 50. They just got to the back of the square, but they're just dominating field position, winning contested possession.
Clearance is 7-0.
And I guess the one stat is there's 6 tackles to 1. So even though they're dominating the possession battle, they're still tackling Adelaide and turning it over. So you can see just clear why Adelaide is struggling with their foot skills, which has been a problem for them all year.
Adelaide traditionally poor starts this season. They've won opening quarter just 4 times. Great knock by O'Brien out of the middle, finds Keys on his left foot. He goes long. Walker May comes in from the front, knocks it down, and then it's picked up by Lever. He's crashed into by 3 Crows, including Walker, who may have nodded heads by accident. Umpire comes in, says ball it up. Wiedemann goes in the ruck, flips out a hand pass. Oliver, he's quick with his hands. And then Bedford tried to be quick, a little too quick. Berry on the ground, gave out a hand pass for Adelaide. They still can't get a clean possession. Petrarca in there, Berry got him. Thought the umpire may have given a free kick for just disposing of the ball illegally then, but no. Ball up just inside the centre square.
Tossed up. Wiedemann and O'Brien both get a hand to it. Knocked down, bounced off a couple, back to O'Brien. His handball sharked by Salem. Threw it on the boot up the eastern side. One-on-one, Brown is beaten by Murray. Gives the hand off to Dawson. Again, just threw it on the boot in hope. Worked for O'Brien, dropped to his knees, took the mark, gave it to Berry. Flat kick to Keys, runs to 45. On the left, it heads all the way. Adelaide on the board. It took 9 minutes to get there. And the man who at times can be so inaccurate in front of goal, Ben Keys, stood up when needed. They're 1 straight 6, Melbourne 3 straight 18. Aaron Bryans, Neil Koss, Scott Camporelli, Stephen Williams with you on ABC Radio and Sport Digital.
Oh, it's a real turnover game, isn't it? I mean, Melbourne have kicked all 3 from there, from that source, and then Adelaide, it was a great one-on-one contest by Murray on the wing there. Probably owed the team one, to be fair, but won that one-on-one against Ben Brown. Flicked it inside to Berry. I'm not sure that kick was supposed to go to Keys. I think it was can't remember who the leading forward up, but really nice finish from Ben Keys.
Melbourne a good record at the Adelaide Oval. 4 wins, 2 losses against the Crows. It's a 12-point game in favour of the Demons. Out of the middle, umpire off the ball has spotted something. Rebounds. Interesting. Don't know what the umpire spotted, but anyway, it's thrown up in the middle. O'Brien got the tap again. Petrarca burrows in, so does Berry for Adelaide. And umpire says that's holding the ball. I think Berry got there first in the burrow, and so as a result, he'll be penalised. It'll go to Viney. Slips a hand pass straight away to Oliver, then wide to the run and to the left foot of Brayshaw, and he sends it into the pocket. And nodding his head and going forward was Ben Brown, looking for a push in the back. Instead, it's a clean intercept mark for Murray.
A little lucky, I would have thought.
Nick Murray's only lost 15% of his contested one-on-ones this year. He's in the top 6 in the league. Heads towards a pack out on the wing. Thilthorpe brought it to ground and then was taken high. On the broadcast side, one of their 2 inclusions. Thilthorpe gives it off towards Schomburg. Up to right half forward, he spots Saligo. Marks ahead of Brayshaw. Too far out to score. Brayshaw stands the mark. Saligo flicks the hand out. Gives it to Parnell. Inside 50 for the Crows. Spoil from Petty. At the back, May. Fumbled. Miller can capitalise. Gets a handball to Fogarty. Snaps from 35 and curls it through. Adelaide with the quick response. The D's have the first 3. Adelaide with the next 2. 18 points, plays 12. 12 minutes into the opening quarter on Grandstand AFL.
Just some nice link up there by Paddy Parnell. Got the ball, delivered it well, got it back again, and just quickly inside the Crows forward 50. D's didn't have time to get a lot of players back there, and a really nice snap there by Darcy Fogarty, who's just starting to make his way at this level.
Probably a little unlucky. Stephen May got tackled to the ground. I thought that was, and then I thought Murray was both hands in the back to Ben Brown. But anyway, get the rub of the green, you take it, don't you, Steve?
You do indeed.
Doesn't miss often, Fogarty. 15 goals, 5 now for the season. Adelaide in the hunt after it looked like the Demons were just going to destroy them first up. Back in the middle, tap down to Schomburg, flip the hand pass straight away to Laird for Adelaide. Inside 50, Brave going back. There's the man in the helmet, Brayshaw. Released the kick straight away to Petrarca, who just got one accidentally, I'm sure, from Dawson, just in the kidney region, I think. He's just taking his time now, going back on the mark.
Kicks wide. Spots Lever out there and Petrarca jogs off. He seems to be all right. Meanwhile, Melbourne have the footy right half back. Lever will go long up the eastern wing. Packer waits just forward of the logo. Fritsch gets a fly a bit late. Got a hand up but didn't intercept it. Duday stands his ground and cuts it off. Adelaide now through the square. Duday heads back towards the arc. Lever's sitting underneath it and cuts it off.
You just can't do that, Tom Duday. He's got to lower his eyes. I looked ahead of the ball. Petty's free, Lever's free, and he just bombs it long. And the only one that there was James Rowe. I mean, it's ridiculous.
The boos for the former Crow, Jake Lever. Heads back down the eastern side. Will go again. Off the pack. Spills to Petrarca. Got it to Harms. Had a couple of fumbles, then picks it up and flicks it wide to Langdon. Up to right half forward, he'll chip it up. It was intended in the end for Brown. Sparrow stuck a hand out to cut it off, and now they're under immediate pressure. Harms has to shrug 2 tackles and turns it over. Schonberg now through the corridor, uses keys. Millerer, tumbler of a kick. Sold Jones into a bit of trouble. Murphy did well. 1-2 with Murray, now in front of the benches on the 45. His kick's dangerous, but Rochelle is bowled over by Hibberd. Gee, the free kick didn't need to be there, and we'll take it on centre wing.
Rochelle stood his ground well. Now he chips a little wider in the channel down the line to Haitley, and then he went down the line to Millerer. So Millerer looks inside 50. He's about 80 from goal at right half forward. On this broadcast side, he goes just to 25 from goal with the chip, and O'Brien almost pulled it in, and then it bounced off down, and he got it again. And it'll be a ball up straight in front.
So we're about 20 out from the Crows' goal. Melbourne lead by 6. Walker flew early, stuck a knee into the head of Brown, knocked down to Harms. There's a block-out free kick going the way of Adelaide. It'll go to Taylor Walker. He flew incredibly early, stuck the knee into the neck of Brown, who stood his ground, and that's counted as a block-out, Campo.
Well, that's a strange decision. Taylor Walker, who had no eyes for the ball, is looking straight at Mitch Brown before he goes in. You have a look, Crossy. He's not even looking at the ball. Then he jumps at the last minute and then gets paid a free kick.
Yeah, it seemed to be a late call too, didn't it?
Mitch Brown was looking at Walker, though.
And Walker was looking at him.
So, I don't know. Work it out.
Free kick to the Texan either way. Starts his run up from 45. He'll kick from 30. Straight over the goal umpire's hat. And scores a level at the Adelaide Oval. 15 played in the first, 3 straight 18 apiece. Downstairs to Liz Walsh.
Yeah, some really horrid injury news, to be honest with you. Darcy Fogarty has come from the ground. He has a dislocated finger. The ring finger on his right hand almost looks like it's bent back on a right angle. He's gone straight down into the rooms and just waiting to see when he can come back on.
Riley O'Brien could be the real key today as well. Melbourne really don't, without Max Gawn or Luke Jackson. They've got Mitch Brown and Wiedemann going in ruck, so he could be the man that, if he can give Adelaide some nice service out of the middle of the ground, certainly gives Taylor Walker and the Adelaide forwards a lot more opportunities.
I don't know. Go figure that free kick. Anyway, back in the middle. Umpire's bounce wasn't good enough. We'll go again. Riley O'Brien advantage that time. He's going still against Wiedemann.
They might as well have gone rock, paper, scissors for that one. That was ridiculous.
Out of the middle, Schonberg with the tap, and then he slipped a hand pass to O'Brien, who tumbled the ball inside 50. Off hands, it came to the ground. It's outside 50 now. Berry bursts through and then sends it to full forward, and Petty leads out. He judged it best away from Millerer. Takes the chest mark.
The Norwood product has it. Left back pocket. Called to play on. He'll head up towards the broadcast wing. Rising O'Brien. Outmarks Harms quite easily. Cuts it off for the Crows at right half forward. Today is the day for Riley O'Brien to stand up with Luke Jackson out. There isn't a recognised ruck for the D's. Heads inside 50. Walker gets a run at it and a clean fly as well. He'll claim it in the air with little effort. Came from behind. The Demons defenders stuck in front. Had no idea he was coming. 30 out, 45-degree angle to the right.
Stephen May just got caught behind there, didn't he? And he was expecting Angus Brayshaw maybe to sit in the hole, but he sort of looked around and Taylor Walker just said, thank you very much.
6 goals last week. He had 3 in the win against Melbourne last year. And now he's got 2 in the opening term. Adelaide hit the front. 4 straight 24, Melbourne 3 straight 18, 17 and a half played in the opening term on Grandstand AFL.
Well, they've fought back, Adelaide. They've obviously kicked the last 4 and dominated field position. It's been a game of two halves at the moment, but certainly now getting their hands on the ball, winning contested possession. Adelaide, they've had 8 inside 50s now, so that's even in that part of the game, and clearance-wise 5-all. So. And they've tidied up their kicking, so really good response from Adelaide.
Well, inside 50s was 7-0 in favour of Melbourne. Now it's 8-all, so 8-1 in the last probably 10 minutes to the Crows. So they are controlling the game.
Are we headed for another upset? Already Essendon over Sydney this afternoon. Back in the middle. Ball goes up. Wiedemann probably had the best of the contest. Petrarca on the ground. O'Brien, the ruckman, got him. And now he's forced another ball up. Has he? No, it's still bobbling around. It comes to Berry for Adelaide. He goes to ground. Paddles it towards Schonberg. In a tackle, can't get it out. Oliver flicks it to Salem for Melbourne. But then Salem can't get the disposal. It went to Berry, and then flying forward, May took the intercept mark for Melbourne at half-back. Comes to this broadcast side with his kick near the interchange gates. Wiedemann was trying to run onto it, the big ruckman. He was bowled over the line. We'll get a throw in.
Mentioned Nick Murray's 15% contested one-on-one loss. Stephen May, best in the league. He loses 5% of one-on-one contests contested. Certainly headed towards another All-Australian blazer, you'd imagine. Toss back into play. O'Brien in front position. The double tap down. Take a pick. Murphy, Schonberg combined with their hands up to right half forward. Now into the 50 for Adelaide. Walker got a rise. May was in front of him though. Cuts it off with the intercept. Uses Neil Bullen. And Melbourne race out to the eastern side. Bowie kicks it off towards Langdon on the painted defensive 50.
Langdon down the line he goes. Just behind centre wing. Taken by Neil Bullen. Hand pass off to Spargo straight away. He props. He was going to go inside. Instead decided that he was going to go wider. So Sparrow with the mark at right half forward near the boundary line. Eastern side of the Adelaide Oval. They trail by 6 points, the Demons. Long kick from Sparrow inside forward 50. Petrarca just simply pushed aside his man and then speared a pass. And Harms took the chest mark.
That was fantastic play, wasn't it? Just
big
strong.
Big man, small man. Thanks for coming.
Yeah, just used his body beautifully. Pushed right at the right time. Got the Crows player out the way, and then a beautiful pass to his teammate.
He just bench pressed it.
He did.
He just said, "Here, whack this." The couple of plates on either side. And
it was Jackson Hately was the victim of that.
That'll be in the meeting on Monday.
So Harms barely 25 out, slightly to the right. In he comes and scores a level again. What a goal fest we've got in the opening quarter at the Adelaide Oval. 4 straight apiece. We can't separate them. We're into time on. And the Demons, who've not got a great record in front of the goals, it must be said, ranked 16th for scoring shot conversion. Not today. They're perfect.
Well, we spoke about the opportunity for Riley O'Brien. He's had the 6 disposals and 2 marks, and really, I guess, giving some ascendancy around that stoppage situation. Keys had 5 and Berry's had 5 versus Oliver 6, Harms 5, and Ed Langdon and Petrarca with 5. So both midfields are getting hold of the ball, for want of a better word, but it's really been off some turnovers at teams that have had their inside 50s.
Damper certainly thinks Melbourne will get the job done. On the text line, he says, "Phil, we've had our upset of the round with the Bombers win. Crows' sloppy turnovers already mounting." In the middle, O'Brien wins it down, scores level at the moment. Petrarca was there to shark it, got a handball out to Harms. Soccer's off the deck, tumbles to the eastern side. Sparrow's caught behind Dawson, but can gather anyway. Got a handball off to Langdon, now near Bullen. Has to weave through traffic, shrugs a tackle of Saligo, heads into the scoreboard pocket, and Duday stands his ground. Ben Brown came surging from behind. He cut it off and received the 50 as well for the crunch.
Wow. That's a little soft.
Isn't it? It was just a spoiling attempt.
So Duday gives it off short in the centre square to Dawson. Now heads up towards the 50. Walker gets rid of May but couldn't bring it down. The fall of the ball, Lever can gather. He's taken high by Murphy. He came in late as the second tackler and just stuck an arm out. Free kick to the Demons in the right back pocket. 4 straight 24 apiece. Time on in the first.
56 games Lever played for Adelaide before choosing to go to Melbourne. Out wide he goes with his kick on the eastern side. Ball comes to the front. Saligo surrounded by a couple of Demons. Oliver picked his pocket and then gave it away to Langdon. His left foot kick wasn't fantastic. Demons just hit and hope at the moment. They're just handballing it willy-nilly to try and get a disposal. Wiedemann picks it up. He's taken down in a tackle. Still the umpire lets it go. Ball on the ground. Oliver again slips it to Langdon off the right foot. He goes down the line. It's floating. It's floating. Is it still in? It's still in. Fritsch, it must have bounced straight up. No, there was a push, said the umpire. Fritsch was in the back of his opponent, Duday. Duday inboard with a kick from left half back to Dawson. Now he just decides, let's slow things up, boys.
As close to out of bounds as it gets, Crossy, I reckon. Bounced right on the paint. Across defensive 50 go the Crows. Murray now has it just in front of the defensive goal square. Completes the switch to Jones. He's at right half back, paying a defensive 50. Parnell leads, screaming for it. Won't receive the footy. Instead, Jones will head up towards the benches. Spots Miller, who can get a rise on Hibberd. Spun in the air and pulled it down. Behind centre wing, Wayne Miller up, looks inside. Heads to half back. It was a dangerous kick if Pickett got a bit of pace. He couldn't reach it. Dawson takes the uncontested mark and spots an outnumber. Hits Saligo, the 2-on-1 on the eastern wing. Saligo can take a couple of bounces using the Shepherd and pierce it to Murphy. He's still just outside 50. Really tight angle on the boundary. Murphy pops it up. Has a lead in Thilthorpe. Heads towards him. It's spoiled from behind. Spilled to Hibberd for the Demons. Now Oliver to Harms. Heads out to the eastern side. Murray disposed of Brown but couldn't reach the footy. It'll tumble over the boundary line. We toss back into play, centre wing. 4 straight 24 apiece. 24 played in the opening quarter.
Just a really nice ball use from Adelaide to bring the ball up the ground. Just that final kick by Lockie Murphy just had to be a little bit better, wait a little bit longer and find a better option.
Again, it's O'Brien and Wiedemann, and O'Brien taps it beautifully. Saligo inside forward 50 intercepted, looking for Thilthorpe maybe. Brayshaw with the intercept, drops it short. Eastern side of the ground, right half back. Langdon with the mark. Up and down that wing all day, Ed Langdon. He decides to go inboard with his kick across goals. It's a long kick, finds May. May on this broadcast side takes off straight away. Wide with his kick, finds Hibberd. Hibberd forced it back up. He's on the boundary line right now. Inboard he goes with his kick. Back to half back, and Brayshaw's got it. Just playing some possession football at the moment. Chips it to Salem just behind centre wing.
So Salem missed the early stages of the season due to chipped knee cartilage surgery. Now back in the side, heads up to half forward. Wiedemann front position, spoiled away from him. Neil Bullen's wrapped up in the Berry tackle. It's not going anywhere. Ball up to come. Liz Walsh downstairs.
Yeah, just an update on Darcy Fogarty for you. We still haven't seen him after he went in the rooms after badly dislocating his finger. The Crows mustn't be too worried though. Their medical sub Lockie Scholl is still stationary on the bench.
Back on the oval, high tackle laid on Sam Berry by Jack Viney. Free kick to the Crows, defensive edge of the centre square. Scores level, 4 straight 24 apiece. Plenty of time to play in the first quarter. They head up to right half forward. Thilthorpe was taken out of it accidentally by Petty. They collided in the air. Intercept taken by Jordan. Fans wanted a free kick, but it was purely accidental.
Accidents count. It was straight in the back.
Jordan heads up the broadcast wing to a pack. In the middle of it all, Dawson should have claimed it, lost it in the air. Wiedemann at the fall, the ball turned it straight over to Laird. Now Haitley throws it back to him in the tackle. Jones uses Dawson. Adelaide with the composure. They head inside to Keys.
Keys straight out to the wing. Out there was Hinge. He's been called to play on. No Melbourne player within 20 metres. He says, well, I haven't got a target. Now he has. Parnell right out on the boundary line. He goes back inboard to Dawson. Still behind centre wing for Adelaide on the eastern side. Umpire now calls Dawson to play on. Viney comes at him. Dawson goes long with the left leg. O'Brien flies. Punched away from him. Picked up by Rochelle. Back he goes with a hand pass to Parnell. It's sat up and Spargo got him. Somehow he got it back to Rochelle. To centre half forward, Rowe with the mark. Right on 50. Rowe looks up, waits, takes his time. In fact, he's not so much centre half forward as left half forward still in that channel.
Really nice kick from Rochelle there. Just lower the eyes, not blast to the Melbourne numbers. Just found a free Adelaide player in James Rowe.
James Rowe takes his time. I don't think he can make it. He knows he can't make the distance. Pops it into the pocket. Walker almost got a leap at it. Petrarca took it off hands. Then outside 50 he goes with his kick. Dawson somehow, well, accidentally got it to one of his own, but it won't help. Neil Bullen gives it to Langdon. He just goes for a speculator hand pass. It comes back to Dawson, and he sends it into the forward pocket from the back foot, and it bounces half a centimetre from the boundary line and goes over, and the Crows say we'll take that 30 metres around from the goal face.
Bronx cheers as it enters the attacking 50, Crossy. Toss back into play. Walker up against Wiedemann, nudged him out and then both lost it. Bounced off the head of Schomburg, and now Keys skies it up and down. May soars, spoils it out of the defensive 50 for the Demons. trying to get clear. Sparrow had to become the tackler. Spills out to half forward for the Crows. Another tackle laid. It's messy football at the moment. Harms dives in. He's wrapped up by a couple. And finally we'll get a ball up. High intensity footy at the Oval with scores level late in the first. Adelaide and Melbourne on Grandstand AFL. O'Brien slaps it down straight to Salem. Rush the kick up towards the eastern side. Brown in front position, spilled away from him by Murray. Though Langdon was waiting front and square. A 1-2 with Brown and now races away. Takes a couple of bounces through right half forward. Kept going into the 50, nearly went too far. Just pulled up short and speared it towards Petrarca, who takes the mark, 35 out. 45-degree angle to the right.
Oh, it's good composure, good run by Langdon. He plays that far wing really well. He's had 11 possessions already, 222 metres gained. Just good composure, just didn't run with his head down. He was scanning the field, and then Petrarca, smart player, just ducked back in on Chase Jones, and an easy connect inside forward 50.
Hasn't been great in front of goals. 10-21 this season. Could have 2 in the opening quarter though. The Norm Smith medalist comes in from 45, leans back on the kick. It's carrying across the face, but he's done enough. Sneaks it home for a major. Gives the Demons back the lead. 5 straight 30 rather to Adelaide's 4 straight 24. 29 played in the opening term on Grandstand AFL.
Yeah, you mentioned it, Campo. Ed Langdon's probably as good as any in the AFL, the way he just sticks out on his wing. It was really good work by Ben Brown as well. He contested the ball. Langdon won it, was tackled, gave it back to Brown, but then instead of trying to kick the ball, Brown just had the smarts to give it back to Langdon, and as you mentioned, he was able to just take up probably 100 metres of ground, just scanning, and then found Petrarca, and Petrarca finished off.
He's had a fair quarter, Petrarca, 9 possessions, 2 goals. Not a bad start to the afternoon.
Going at 100% kicking efficiency, so yeah, that is a good start.
Not long left in the opening quarter. Riley O'Brien will go it against Wiedemann again. O'Brien maybe had the better of it, follows up pretty well. Slipped by Oliver to Harms, inside 50, goes with a kick. Ben Brown comes at it, knocked away from him. Parnell on the ground, he slipped a head pass out and went to Fritsch, and he snaps for the first minor score of the match, right on the siren at quarter time. And it'll finish Melbourne 5-1, 31 Adelaide, 4 straight 24. You cannot knock the endeavour that Adelaide has shown in the opening quarter, but the Demons have matched it, and there are 7-point leaders at quarter time at the Adelaide Oval.
We nearly had a perfect sharpshooting quarter, but the one blemish right at the end there, unfortunately. The Demons with a 7-point lead. The goal scorers at the first break, Petrarca 2, singles to Harms, Brown, that's Mitch, and Brown Ben. And for the Crows, 2 to Walker, singles to Keys and Fogarty. Great to have your company on ABC Radio and Sport Digital. This is Grandstand AFL.
If you love sport, we've got the exact podcast for you. ABC Sport Daily, your daily sports conversation.
Getting knocked out at the quarterfinals of an Asian Cup, which
Calamitous.
You don't want to be known as the player that lost the Ashes.
And these roundabouts on narrow roads, and the riders are freaking that the race will be going too fast into these roundabouts, and some of the guys won't be coming out.
They've got to walk into the Queensland Origin Temple and tear everything down.
You can find it wherever you get your podcasts.
The 2022 AFL Premiership season.
Grandstand AFL.
On ABC Radio and ABC Sport Digital.
Fargo at half forward, inside 50. He goes with a kick a little high, but it comes off hands. And Brown at the back gets a goal.
Bailey Fritsch, game 100, had 7 goals the last time these two sides met. Pops it up towards Ben Brown, through his hands. Petrarca at the back, snaps for the D second. Melbourne hot early. Worked for O'Brien, dropped to his knees, took the mark, gave it to Berry, flat kick to Keys, runs to 45, on the left, it heads all the way! Adelaide on the board, at the back May, fumbled, Miller can capitalise, gets a handball to Fogarty, snaps from 35 and curls it through! Adelaide with the quick response, Walker flew early, stuck a knee into the head of Brown, knocked down to Harms, there's a block-out free kick, going the way of Adelaide. Free kick to the Texan either way. Starts his run up from 45. He'll kick from 30. Straight over the goal umpire's hat. Heads inside 50. Walker gets a run at it and a clean fly as well. He'll claim it in the air with little effort. 6 goals last week. He had 3 in the win against Melbourne last year. And now he's got 2 in the opening term.
This is the 2022 AFL Premiership season
on ABC Radio and ABC Sport Digital.
Outstanding opening quarter of footy at the Adelaide Oval. Melbourne striking first with the first 3 majors. Adelaide responding with 4 of their own. The Demons with the last 2 to take a 7-point lead into quarter time. 5-1-31 plays 4 straight 24. Aaron Bryans, Neil Cross, Scott Camperelli, Stephen Williams and Liz Walsh with you. Earlier today, Essendon defeating Sydney by 9 points. Still to come, everyone will take you to Carrara for Gold Coast and Collingwood. If you want to hear Geelong and North Melbourne at Cardinia, jump on the AFL app. Campo, Steve, what'd you make of that opening quarter?
Well, Adelaide would be pretty happy, Steve, to be fair. I mean, I guess Melbourne, one of their one-woods is their contested possession ground ball game. So Adelaide are in the fight with that. They've tackled pretty well and they've won the inside 50 count, 15-12. The challenge is going to be, Steve, they've only had 4 shots from 15 inside 50, so they're not getting bang for buck in there. And I just had a quick look at one of the stats. They've only been able to retain 14% of their kicks inside forward 50. So that suggests that it's either too slow or the options they're kicking inside forward 50 aren't quite the right one. So, and the other one I want to highlight, Steve, is Melbourne's ability to transition game. If Adelaide don't get deeper entries, it's going to be fraught for danger with them because they're just the best counter-punching team in the competition by far. And if they don't get it deeper, which allows Adelaide then to squeeze up and I guess force them into a slower bill and force them wide, if they turn it over in the fat part of the ground, we've seen already 4 out of their 5 goals have all been transition goals. So they're just going to open Adelaide up.
Yeah, they are. Those first 2 in particular, they were just poor decision-making from the Crows with that kick inside 50. Stephen May or Jake Lever intercept the ball and, as you mentioned, switch to the fat side of the ground and away they go. Riley O'Brien, he's been the 13 hit-outs compared to the best 3 for Wiedemann. So he can be the man. If Adelaide can win the ball out of the middle, go out of the front of the stoppage and get it inside that forward 50 quickly, Walker is looking pretty dangerous.
Just on that, Steve, on the text line, 0437 774 774. Tim from Wodonga says, O'Brien's dominating. What can the Demons do to combat this? They obviously don't have a ruck today because Luke Jackson was out. Do they need to combat it? O'Brien's winning.
Well, yeah, he's winning, and they got smart mids, Oliver and Petrarca are as good as anybody. And Viney, they read where the ball's being hit, they get there. So I don't think he's going to be as big a problem as perhaps he ought to be because of the calibre of players that Melbourne have around the stoppages.
Some ugly news in the opening quarter. Darcy Fogarty dislocating his finger at a really awkward angle. Liz Walsh, what's the latest down there?
Honestly, it was really quite sickening to actually see the crowd around us. We were all just in shock looking at it. He's just come back out from the rooms now. His right hand heavily strapped. He's just had some balls kicked at him. He's been marking them fine. So he's back on the ground for this quarter.
Great contest so far. The Demons by 7, 5-1-31 to Adelaide's 4 straight 24. The second quarter about to get underway. Leading possession getters so far. Ed Langdon has 11 for the Demons. Clayton Oliver with 10. Meanwhile, Dawson has 9 alongside Harms and Petrarca 8 to Ben Keys.
Brutal game, Adelaide, AFL footy, isn't it? Yeah, pop your finger at work and go back out there.
High bounce in the middle. O'Brien again wins it down. Straight down the throat of Schomburg, who uses Keys. Adelaide with the early clearance up towards 50. Brayshaw beats Rochelle.
He's got to be better than that.
Takes the intercept mark for the Demons at centre half back.
Brayshaw straight down the middle with his kick dangerously. Duday comes, meets the ball, knocks it to the front. Adelaide can't get it. It's Bowie. Takes it away for Melbourne. Quickly out to Jordan on centre wing. Down to Spargo at half forward. He can play on and he does. Inside forward, 50 with a kick, going back with a flight. Mitch Brown taking the mark. And he will go back and have a look at the goals from maybe 40 metres, and he'll be near the boundary line as he comes in to have his kick.
Just had a quick look while we're waiting for him to line up. Brodie Smith only the 1 possession. Quiet first quarter for him.
So Mitch Brown, just his 3rd game for the season. He shanks it off the inside of the boot. It ends up straight out in front. It comes off hands. Harms had a shot at goal. And it will come back to Harms again. And this time he snaps. And I think he's missed everything from 10 metres out. He's gone straight from the right goalpost, across the ground and out on the full. And it'll be an opportunity for Laird to bring it in the right back pocket for Adelaide.
That was a bit like your 4-iron at North Adelaide. He kicked the ground and took a massive divot.
Murray clears defensive 50 to a pack. It's knocked over the boundary line, but there's a free kick in it all for a hold. Riley O'Brien to receive it. Campo, you started early. The sledges are on the way.
That's why you haven't been invited to a private course.
I love my par threes, to be honest. D's by 7. Harms had multiple opportunities to convert there, and first was smothered, second across the face as O'Brien heads up the eastern side. Late fly from Wiedemann, caught behind, brought it to ground. Fogarty now wrapped up in the tackle. Ball isn't going anywhere. It'll be tossed up just behind centre wing for the Crows, who are currently kicking to the northern end. Quick ball up, knocked down in the path of Neil Bullen, couldn't pick it up. Viney and Oliver inside there as well, become the tacklers on Schomburg. He can't release the footy. Oliver just wrenches it out for the Demons, gives it to Wiedemann. Langdon, now Viney, back to Langdon, who kept running on the boundary line, but Hinge is in his way. Had to retreat with the handball under pressure, did it straight over the boundary line. We toss back into play, left half forward for the Demons.
Sometimes when Ed Langdon gives that first handball out, he just gives it with enough air that the guy has to actually stop and prop and give it back to him. He's quite a smart player.
The old Freddie McGuinness.
It is.
Ball comes back into play off a couple of sets of hands. Finally picked up by Harms, forward of the pack, inside forward 50. Shanked it a la Aaron again. Inside 50, Adelaide take it away. Hinge picks off a really hard kick back to the corridor. Finds Saligo, wants to play on, cool to play on. Comes this side of the ground, finds Haitley in space. Adelaide have some numbers and runners outside for Haitley is Parnell. One bounce, and it doesn't quite come back to him the way he wanted. Jordan comes in, puts him under pressure. Help from Spargo. Oh, and he put the shoulder down there, and Haitley got him a little bit high. Free kick to Spargo, just behind centre wing, hard against the boundary line.
He sold that very well, Crossy, with the shrug. Spargo on the 45 to Brayshaw, just behind centre wing. Heads long up to right half forward. Butts gets some space on Fritsch. Takes the intercept mark for the Crows. Didn't have a touch in the opening quarter, Jordan Butts. This will be his second now. He heads up the broadcast wing. Thilthorpe in front position. Petty got rid of him with ease.
That's twice Adelaide forwards have been outmarked. One Rochelle and then now Riley.
So Petty with the intercept grab, heads back up where it came from. Fritsch now in front position, can juggle and beat Butts this time. Wants to play on quickly. Wheels around on the left. Heads towards 40. Off the hands of Petrarca. Spills down to Oliver. Got a handball to the boundary line of Jordan, who kicked it straight to the face of Parnell. Ricochets to Spargo. His handball not clean. Laird makes a contest, bouncing straight off Fritsch. Ball will carry over and be tossed back into play on the paint of attacking 50 for the Demons. Slower start than the opening quarter. No score so far. We've played 5 minutes. Melbourne 5-1-31. Adelaide 4 straight 24.
Just saw a replay of that Patrick Parnell smother. He was lucky. He got his left hand up just before the ball hit him in the face. Off the ruck contest, Schonberg's got it near the boundary line, gives it to Laird, falling backwards. Ball somehow came out and got over the boundary line. I suspect Laird may have just let it go.
Just hatched it, didn't he?
That little bit of frozen there, he just let it go. So we'll get the throw in.
So Adelaide Adelaide got one up around the stoppage, which is allowing Jake Lever to be free here, one off, one back.
It was Oliver in the middle of the pack, got it to Harms, had to try and hand pass it forward. Keys took a bump and then gave out a hand pass to Saligo. Down the line he goes. Walker, I thought, took it. The umpire said no, it's out. I thought he had enough of it. Walker, it's going to be thrown in just ahead of the interchange gates. Adelaide going to that Cathedral end of the ground in the second quarter.
Petty again, he spoiled that away. Great start for the South Australian. 22 years of age, tossed back into play. Wiedemann won it down against O'Brien. Put it in front of Viney, who was a bit confused. It came his way and now is wrapped up by Berry. Spun down in the tackle. Umpire says throw it in as they roll over the boundary line. A bit of afters as well between Berry, Viney and Oliver. Here's 3 tackling machines for you. Although Berry is currently the best of them all.
Some hard heads there.
Toss back in. Wiedemann again against O'Brien. The Crows ruck tried to take it out of the air. Gave Wiedemann some time to gather off the bounce. His handball sold his teammate into trouble. Ball isn't going anywhere. Ball up to come as Ben Keys lays the tackle. And the last man off the bottom of the pack is James Jordan.
Ball goes up again. O'Brien with the tap. Picked off by Sparrow, high into the middle of the ground. Ball comes off with a couple of hands and then bounced for Parnell. Gave a hand pass, and again Petrarca with a big tackle on Hinge. That really didn't help the Crows, and Hinge is lucky. He got out of that alive, and I tell you, Petrarca, he would hurt if he really wanted to. We get a ball up.
O'Brien slaps it down looking for Keys. Fumbled at his toes. Finally gets a handball out to Haitley. He was pushed off it by Jordan. And Melbourne are away. Petrarca gathers and goes. Uses Oliver on the paint of 50. He'll go long. Starts left. There's no one running back with the fight except Parnell. He couldn't reach it in time. Just takes a bounce inside and carries over for a boundary throw in left forward pocket for the Demons.
It's probably his only chink in his armour, really.
Yeah,
he's kicking, and he's just field kicking. He's not a great field kick. It's a bit like Patrick Cripps as well. Brilliant in close. They're one-handed touch, one grab touch, and the hands are so creative.
O'Brien won it down straight to Pickett, who gives it to Petrarca. Snaps from the tight angle, 10 out. It carries across the goal face, bounces and over the boundary line as Murray sees it over for another boundary throw-in. I'm sure Oliver won't mind anymore. Campo, now that he's signed till 2030, it doesn't really matter what he does anymore.
He could probably buy a right foot with what he got.
So 25 around from the goal face at that River Torrens end of the ground. Ball comes back into play. Melbourne attacking inside 50. And out of the pack it comes to Spargo. Just has a look at the goals and caresses the ball to the top of the goal face. And Adelaide gets Murray coming across and just knocks it away from Mitch Brown across for the minor score. Where's our goals going? After they couldn't miss in the first quarter, that's the first score of the second term, and Adelaide's turned it over straight away from the kick into Hibberd.
Cuts it off right half forward for the Demons. Back inside 50. Packer waits. Couple of big flyers. Oliver was waiting front and square. Wrapped up immediately in a tackle and brought down 30 out from goal. Ball up to come. We had 9 goals in the opening quarter and 8.5 played in the second. We've had just the one behind, as you heard rushed moments ago. Tossed up. O'Brien wins it down looking for Duday. Bounced off a couple of hands. Now Pickett uses Oliver. Can snap on the left from 30. This one is just as bad as the first attempt. Far left, minor score. The Demons up by 9 now. 5-3-33. Adelaide 4 straight 24. 9 played in the second quarter. Aaron Bryans, Neil Cross, Scott Camporelli, Stephen Williams with you.
Well, that's why you don't get too carried away with hit-outs. 11 hit-outs to 0, but Melbourne are winning the clearances 6-2. So
yeah, they're pretty sharp around them, aren't they?
So Smith with a kick in. Sends it long, no problems with Fogarty's hands that time. He took the mark, inboard he goes straight away. Rowe with the mark. He's still behind centre. Slips away the hand pass to the running Parnell. Pulled his kick, Fogarty, centre of play. Took the mark, straight away a hand pass to Murray. Absolutely shanked the kick, wanted to go through the corridor. It's ended up going out. At half forward, that was a shocker.
They hit his knee. They hit his foot.
The outside of his shin, I think it was.
Yeah, it was pretty hard to imagine how he got it there from where he started and where he was aiming, but he did.
Toss back into play. O'Brien caught behind Wiedemann, still won it down to Keys, who had 3 on him. Got a handball clear though to Smith. Panic kick up towards the 50. It skies on the paint in the boundary line. Saligo's taken out of the contest. Gets the free kick. Just outside the boundary line. Right half forward. Saligo hands it off. Now Hinge heads towards the scoreboard pocket. Phil thought was running out, but back with the flight. May again. Another intercept mark for the Demons.
They just read the flight of the ball so well, don't they, Steve? Those
they do,
two,
yeah.
all 3 of them down there now.
123 games with the Gold Coast, but more importantly, what he's done for Melbourne, he shores up their defence, mate. His long kick, though, there's been a free kick in the contest. O'Brien hands it off straight away. Murray inside forward 50. Scoreboard pocket again. This time Wiedemann's turn to try and intercept. It came to Saligo. He was smashed by Wiedemann. Still the umpire calls play on. Langdon picked it up, gave it to Oliver. Jumped in the mid-air, somehow gave a hand pass. Well, that was what the umpire thought anyway. Adelaide have turned it over. It's come to Murphy. Back inside 50, went to the pocket again. And again, Melbourne find a way to stop them. Salem with the intercept.
His 4th game on return. Salem heads across the defensive goal face. Uses May. Now Petty. Up through the western wing. Finds Jordan at right half back. James Jordan, the medical sub from the grand final last year. still received a medal even though he wasn't activated. Heads up towards centre wing, broadcast side. Packer waits and O'Brien comes across to claim it in the air. Just threw himself into the pack. And outmarks Mitch Brown. He's behind centre wing, O'Brien. Called to play on. Pickett comes in from the side, nearly smothers it. Got a kick away. Bit wide and short for Fogarty. Caught one high from Petty in the process. Ball clears the pack and tumbles over the boundary line as Fogarty is slow to get back to his feet. It's been a rough evening so far for him.
Earned his match payment today.
He's got his elbow, his thumb, and of course the dislocated finger is now bound to another finger, so he's not in a great way. Off the pack, Petrarca just handballs forward for Melbourne. Duday picks it up, does the same thing for Adelaide. O'Brien on the ground somehow got it out of there. Adelaide still forcing through Berry. He's been stone cold tackled by Harms, but that'll be okay. The umpire says give it to me. So they didn't go very far that time away from that original contest, and they'll try again. Slightly ahead of centre wing for Adelaide.
9-point lead to the Demons. O'Brien won it down. Looking for Schomburg, had a couple of fumbles and then has escorted over the boundary line. So just the two behinds in this second quarter so far after a 9-goal opening term. Melbourne led by 7 at the first break, now up by 9. Adelaide yet to register a score in this term. We've played 12 minutes. O'Brien again, front position, won it down. Straight to Petrarca though, trying to bust through Hinge, got a handball away. Sparrow couldn't though, turned it over. Laird bangs it up towards the top of the goal square. Off the pack, Walker May diving down rather against Walker. Tried to throw it on the boots. And in the end took it over the boundary line, much to the dismay of the home fans. We toss back into play.
You could really argue that that's deliberate.
But he handballed it into Walker.
He handballed it into his own leg.
Yeah.
Not sure you're doing that as a craft session, Steve.
Toss back in. Walker went to ground in the ruck contest. There's a whistle going his way. And again, Taylor Walker will receive one inside attacking 50.
It's a better free kick than the out on the deliberate out of bounds, isn't it?
This time he went into Wiedemann, tried to nudge him away, and in the end Wiedemann just tried to hold on to him and caught him high in the process. So the bodywork works wonders for the Texan. Man on the mark will be 15 out. Slight angle to the left. And Walker should finish this with ease. Walker comes in on the right. Gee, it's an ugly looking kick. Started wide, didn't come back enough. The minor score, that was a gimme. And still we're yet to see a goal in this second quarter. Melbourne 5-3-33, Adelaide 4-1-25, 15 played. Aaron Bryans, Neil Cross, Scott Camporelli, Stephen Williams.
Demons go from May short to Salem in front of the old scoreboard there. And he sends it outside 50. Oh, at the front of the pack, Sparrow almost took it. Ball on the ground, Miller extracted it for Adelaide, gave it to Dawson inside 50. Salem will be across there and he'll receive the free kick. He couldn't get the mark, but it went out on the full. So he looks back inboard and thinks about maybe switching. And in the end, he just drops it over the top to Viney. And the hard man takes the mark and then goes long down that eastern wing. Ben Brown, middle of the pack, brought it to ground. Adelaide have numbers. Langdon gets it, fishes it out to Neil Bullen. Didn't like the inside, went back to his left foot near the boundary. Goes down the line, Smith knocked it away. Duday gave away a hand pass he shouldn't have. They turned it over. Langdon with a speculator handball forward. Parnell's overrun the ball, or rather Chase Jones it was. He was good enough to get back to it, and Adelaide will get out of the defensive area.
Dawson uses Murray, then Miller, and now Butts across defensive 50. Hinge racing out towards the left back pocket. He'll take the uncontested mark. And now heads up towards centre wing. Schomburg with pace, but the kick is too wide. Carries over the boundary line and out on the full. And this is the story of their year, the Adelaide Crows. They cannot hit a target on the rebound. And Melbourne have received a free kick just forward of centre wing. Sparrow has it, called to play on. He'll head just inside the paint of 50 with a kick intended for Brown. He went to ground in the pack. Enables Murray to take the intercept mark. He'll pop it short to Dawson as they look to switch to the eastern side.
They do have options. Chase Jones with the mark, and then he sends it to Miller just on defensive 50. Miller looks, he doesn't have an option down the line. Melbourne have defended that really well, and now Miller called to play on, goes back across the goal face to Jordan. Dawson And so Dawson just waits. Can't spot a gap in Melbourne's defence. And goes back instead to Butts near the boundary line. Under pressure, he decides, let's just go down the line. Brayshaw, who got a hand to it, followed up on the ground, sent a hand pass wide. Near the boundary line, he's forced off the ball. Adelaide will take it away. They've got it to Rochelle. Then outside to Saligo. Inside 50, critical kick. Couldn't find his man. Ball on the ground again. Picked up by Brayshaw, immediately tackled. And in the scoreboard pocket, again, it'll be a ball up. And that tackle made by Fogarty again. Despite all the bandages he's got on, he's still able to function.
One down in the ruck contest to Harms. Quick clearance for the Demons. Bounces off Brown straight to Neil Bullen. He can centre his kick to Spargo. Doesn't have anywhere to go with Haitley on his tail, but they're still in the corridor. Handball over the top. Uses Bedford. Now Salem on the logo western side. Heads up to right half forward. Fritsch takes the uncontested mark too far out to score. He's got Spargo inside if he wants to use him. Doesn't in the end. Adelaide flood defensive 50 and Fritsch has an awful kick. 5 metres that bounces straight to Haitley inside. He'll use Duday, who matches him with an even worse one. Wide, bounces just over the boundary line. It'll be tossed back into play in front of the benches.
Well, I was just going to comment. Adelaide actually slowed Melbourne down really well, their defensive. They were out Melbourne, and the way they shifted down and actually slowed that ball up was outstanding. They just got to hit some and they're their senior players, Aaron, as well.
Off the ruck contest, Harms gets it from Melbourne to Salem. His outside hand pass wasn't fantastic. Oliver was good enough. He was tackled and then gave away a hand pass. And then Jordan was barreled across the line by a very determined Hinge, slamming the door on him. So we get another throw in just ahead of centre wing. It's Melbourne by 8 points, 18 and a half gone in the second term at the Adelaide Oval.
O'Brien taps it down straight to Murphy. Now Keys in traffic, hands it off to Laird. They've done a full 360 with the pill. Haitley at the back. Kick was smothered. Bounces through the logo. Neil Bullen driven into the deck with a tackle from Smith. Oliver tries to pull it out. Loses it in the process to Schomburg. Now the Crows through Laird. Handball wide for Haitley. Gets past 3. Kicks around the body. Just didn't look ahead. Bounced through Lever. He should have cut it off. Thilthorpe at the back. Handball inside was awful to Rochelle. He somehow knocked it on to Murphy. Salem will tackle him over the boundary line. It'll be tossed back into play on the paint of attacking 50. We had a beautiful opening quarter of footy, and it has not been matched in this second term. 3 behinds, no goals. It's Melbourne by 8.
It's a good contest, though. No one's willing to give in.
Certainly a lot of pressure around the ball, and there is again as the ball comes back into play, and we'll get another ball up. So it came in from the throw-in off the ruckman's hands. Straight away they crowded in. It was Jordan who was taken down by Keys. So ball up again. And now it's caught between the two ruckmen who both tried to tap it, and chest to chest. The umpire decides, let's do it again. Why not? 7-point lead for Melbourne at quarter time. They've stretched that to 8 points, and we're late in this second quarter.
Wiedemann takes it out of the ruck, uses Jordan Petrarca, now Viney. He'll head up to right half forward. Brown's outnumbered, forced to spoil. Knocked it down looking for Neil Bullen. He overran it. Dawson now for the Crows. Gets a handball to Duday, then Haitley. They're under immediate pressure with every touch, but one of the tackles lingered too long, and the free kick will go to the Crows. Jack Viney, I think the offender. It'll go to Jackson Haitley. Paddy Parnell stuck on the deck. Meanwhile, Adelaide look to the western wing. Butts marks at left half back. Heads down the line. Thilthorpe trying to fly, but it was too wide. Stuck a hand out. Wiedemann should have taken it and ended up tackling Walker High. So Tex has it just short of left half forward. He'll wheel around, heads inside 50. Kick is well short for Miller, who just didn't have the pace in his lead. And Lever sits in the hole to cut it off.
Drops it short, just on defensive 50 near the boundary line was Brayshaw. Brayshaw in the headgear. Decides to go down the line. The booze again, by the way, there for Jake Lever. I don't think anybody in Adelaide, or who is an Adelaide supporter, is going to forgive Jake Lever for deciding to leave the Crows. Ball down the line with the kick.
I'm not sure he's too worried. He's got his premiership medallion hanging around his neck.
Well, that's the thing. And it will always be a balance in professional sport. Loyalty versus personal gain.
Toss back in, Thilthorpe in front position, knocked it to Laird, got a handball out to Schomburg, fumbled but did enough to get it back to Dawson. Lowers the eyes with a nice kick to Walker, leading out. Takes it just at left half forward, again too far out to score. Can look inside with his kick to the centre square. Beautiful pass to Dawson, just inside the paint. An attacking edge, Jordan Dawson usually has a barrel, but this is a bit too long, so he'll pop it short to Keys. Right on half forward, he gives it back to Dawson, who kept running. Now he'll spear it into the left forward pocket. Miller went to ground, lost in the contest with Lever, who can cut it off again. Uses Bowie, bangs it up towards right half back. Brown late to the contest, knocked it down. Straight to Walker, who spun a full 360 by Petrarca. Got boot to ball and goes again. Walker tackled by May, this time high. Free kick, 55 out. 45-degree angle to the left. He's got Dawson running on his outside, doesn't use him. Instead, runs the other way, and May read it. Applied the tackle, had to give it to Dawson. This time it's a standing start. Bangs it to the scoreboard pocket, and Thilthorpe at the back. Takes the mark on the chest. Tight angle right on the behind line. Gee, that was messy. Should have just used Dawson from the get-go, but regardless, they've got a set shot. Thilthorpe. 3-3 for the year. Tough shot, opens the angle and snaps surely. 2-point game at the Adelaide Oval. Melbourne 5-3-33, Adelaide 5-1-31. Time on in the second on Grandstand AFL. Liz Walsh down at the boundary.
Yeah, some injury concerns for Melbourne now. Ben Brown has just limped off the ground. He's just chatting to trainers now. I'll provide an update as soon as I have one.
Pretty ugly stuff, really, there, Campo, as far as Adelaide go. But Riley Thilthorpe, who's been a little bit disappointing today, was able to just get a little bit of split on Jake Wiedemann and finished nicely on his left foot. So this is the sort of style of game, if Adelaide are going to be in it, that we're going to see played. Just a real battle in close and just in the trenches, basically.
Well, that's why I'd like to see Melbourne open this game up. That's because Adelaide have proven that they're not great defensively. So
ball back in the middle. Thilthorpe has gone in there. Salem comes crashing in after Thilthorpe knocked it forward. Ball's taken away by Petrarca. Gave it off to Oliver. In a tackle. Thrown to ground. Then he released it. What does the umpire call? Holding the ball. Rory Laird, the recipient. So Laird takes it. Slips a hand pass back to Dawson. You reckon he's the preferred kick for Adelaide? Deep he goes. Inside forward 50. Great hand pass off the pack by Walker. And Miller will get the goal. It was Walker to Fogarty. Forward to Miller. Boy, that was good. Adelaide hits the front. Adelaide 6-1-37. Melbourne 5-3-33. That's a good forward 50 entry.
Oh, well, it's great. Take a bow, Rory Laird. He's only a small person. Shouldn't say that word, Steve. A small person running through that midfield now with Clayton Oliver, and he just hung on for dear life. And as you say, Crossy, Dawson is, and you can just see that extra penetration just to clear that area. Just turns Melbourne's defenders around, and clever handball by Taylor Walker.
Dawson has 19 touches, Oliver with 18, Petrarca 16 and 2 goals. On the text line, Seb, who's 7 years old, has messaged in asking if Petrarca can win the Brownlow this year, as he has one of his Brownlow predictor footy cards in the ABC Footballer of the Year. He's 6. I think he can still get there, though, depending on the remainder of the year.
Seb, I reckon, put a couple of your chocolate biscuits on it.
Quick clearance from Schomburg, sat up at half forward. Bowie can cut it off for the Demons. Now back to Oliver, who marks in the square, has a runner in Salem. Gives it to him, inside 50, Fritsch came from the side, Murray in front position, bounced off his chest, busting through though Viney, tried to force it forward, he lost it in the tackle. Dawson goes twice to try and get the footy out, but Oliver's all over him. Fell into it, the umpire will give him the benefit of the doubt. Ball up, pain of attacking 50 for the Demons, trailing by 4 after they're led by 7 at quarter time.
Oliver off the contest, gave a forward hand pass, Petrarca just inside 50, bang!
There you go, Seb.
Petrarca with his 3rd of this game, and Melbourne back in front. The Demons 6-3-39, Adelaide 6-1-37, 26 gone, and what was a fairly dull, I must say, in terms of scoring, second term, but it's livened up in the last 5 minutes.
Well, if he keeps doing that, Seb, he'll get 3 Brownlow votes tonight. But he's just a phenomenal player, and his power, just that power that he can accelerate. I mean, that was off 3 or 4 steps and just launched it from about 45. But
the amount of times Clayton Oliver gives it to Christian Petrarca as well. So he's just so smart, Oliver, rather than trying to kick it himself. Give it to the bloke in the better position and watch the Rolls Royce go to work.
Well, I tell you what, if you're a midfielder, you just get in front of Clayton Oliver's eyes, you have a field day.
Demons by 2. Ben Brown still being assessed downstairs. We'll check in with Liz Walsh shortly. Meanwhile, Wiedemann beats O'Brien in the ruck contest. Tapped down in front of Berry, though, for the Crows. Had a fumble. Saligo comes to help. Flicked a handball back to Berry too fast. Langdon's knocked off it by Hinge, who just kept going. Gathered off the bounce. Kicks wide into the scoreboard pocket. Fogarty leading out on the tight angle will take it. On the chest, 40 from home. Darcy Fogarty has a lot of work to do, but he's given them a great chance at goal.
He's probably your number 1 pick if you had to have somebody here for the Crows. Ideally, you'd like him on the other side, but we see a lot of goals from this pocket.
Well, it's Taylor Walker. He swings them that way, Steve. He swings them from that side.
So Darcy Fogarty had 12 goals in his last 4 heading into tonight. Can't make this one work. Too far wide on the right-hand side. Minus score to Adelaide, who trail by a point. 6-2-38, Melbourne 6-3-39. 27 played in the second. Liz Walsh downstairs.
Yeah, it's difficult to know what's wrong with Ben Brown down here. It's clearly a knee or an ankle. He's just done a few little jogs under the eyes of a physio. He's now jumped on the bike. Hopefully he'll be fine soon.
Melbourne brought the ball back in through May. He went long. Pack mark taken by Dawson for Adelaide. Sends it back to May, who comes ahead of Walker and marks it in the old scoreboard pocket again.
Dawson 12 possession for the quarter. Dominating off half-back.
May sends it back out. At eastern side again, off hands, taken brilliantly by Langdon, ran through.
Got wheels.
Forward hand pass. Inside forward 50 goes the kick. Butts opposed to Fritsch. Butts tries to take it to the boundary. Parnell helps him out. Gives it away to Chase Jones. Skirts the boundary. Sends it back outside.
Out of
bounds. Might have been already out of bounds by the time he kicked the ball, Jones. And so about 25 around from the goal face for Melbourne. It'll be a throw in.
Would have liked to see Bedford just run with the ball a bit more there. He kicked it, probably had a lot of space in front of him, and I'm not sure that his Crows opponent was going to run him down either.
37 seconds left in the half. The Demons by a point inside attacking 50. O'Brien slaps it out of the air looking for Parnell. Did enough to get it to Schomburg. Just exits defensive 50 with a handball intended for Keys. It bounced the wrong way. Oliver gives it to Viney. Races through and tried to give it back to Oliver. Had Berry all over him. Nice tackle laid. Ball up to come. 55 out from Melbourne's goal. Tight angle to the left. Sam Berry looks like he's going to in for another big tackling night. I'll give you the stats in a moment. Meanwhile, in the ruck contest, Oliver rips it away, kicks around the body. It'll sit up for Hinge. Wasn't 15. Petrarca wraps him up in the tackle. Ball up to come 45 out. Seven in the opening half for Sam Berry.
He's had more tackles than possessions.
Another rock contest and came through Hinge with brilliance. Send it along to Walker. Marked it on centre wing. Adelaide had the break. Walker says, well, I might barrel it from centre wing and see what happens, but he'd done it from over the mark regardless. So half-time at the Adelaide Oval, and we've got a game on our hands. It was an impressive display by Adelaide in so many ways. They've stayed tough against what has been the best side across the season so far. And at half-time, it's Melbourne 6-3-39, Adelaide 6-2-38. And what a contest we've got to look forward to in the second half.
They've got good form at the Oval, these two sides. The last time they met, it was a 1-point win to the Crows. We might be seeing another cracker on Grandstand AFL after the Bombers upset the Swans earlier today by 9 points, a 6-3 comeback in the final quarter, led by Zach Merritt, who had 3 goals there. Here at the Adelaide Oval, though, ripping contest on our hands. If you'd like to get in touch with us, the text line 0437 774 774. Aaron Bryans, Neil Cross, Scott Camporelli, Stephen Williams with you. It has been a little bit about the turnovers, Steve. I know we've seen some pretty good footy inside the arcs, but Both sides at times have really shown that they don't want to win almost with their disposal.
Yeah, there has been some mistakes, but Melbourne's forwards are struggling a bit. The goals are all coming from their midfield. Petrarca's got 3, Harms has got 1. Mitch Brown is the other guy that's rucking. So Bailey Fritsch can't really get himself into the game. And they look a little bit, young Pickett, Keziah Pickett, really haven't seen much of him either. So they need to get some more out of their forwards. But after an open first quarter where the ball was really ripping up and down the ground, it was a pretty congested game. Adelaide's closed things down and got themselves right back into the contest, Campo.
Yeah, I'd like to see, not that I'm biased anyway, of either team, but for Melbourne, Adelaide's Achilles heel, they've given up 100 points, I think, on 7 or 8 occasions this year. They haven't really asked them a question other than probably early in that first quarter, as you mentioned. So for mine, if I'm Simon Goodwin, let's see if we can open the game up. Let's see if we can ask them some questions. Do they really want to try and defend? But because they've been really solid around the contest, as you said, they've been able to just, I guess, congest the game and just force Melbourne straight down the line, which has been great by Adelaide. But if you're a Melbourne supporter, they need to open the game up, use that run and speed, and that's why those forwards aren't involved in the game, because it's been a straight line game for majority of it.
77 tackles late in the opening half between these two sides. So it's going to be a heavily contested, high-pressure contest, which we do like to see, and there's a great crowd attendance to watch it as well as the night starts to set in, even though it's been overcast all afternoon. Clayton Oliver's leading the charge, 22 touches. Christian Petrarca has 17 and 3 goals, as we've touched on through the quarter. Jordan Dawson with 21. Ben Keys has 15. What have you made, though, of Adelaide's forward setup? It feels like Taylor Walker's pushing quite high up the ground, leaving Riley Thilthorpe the chance to actually lead out with Fogarty. Riley's been more of an at-the-back player. Fogarty's getting some good angles. Is it starting to work for them now that they're pushing up a little higher, Campo?
Well, I don't think it's any real particular as who's playing up. I think it's just depends on how the ball moves and does it switch and who leads up at the... But Taylor Walker's still their most dangerous key forward, there's no doubt about that. Riley's... Thilthorpe's only had the 4 possessions for the game. He's kicked that 1 goal. But once again, same on the flip side, Melbourne's defenders have been pretty strong. So May and Lever have been able to still intercept, and Petty's obviously improved his game out of sight as well. So they've been pretty diligent with their defensive work as well. So, and we saw that in that quarter. It really only opened up, late with 3 minutes to go. Really, both teams managed to hit the scoreboard. So it was a pretty tight game from there. But, we spoke about Riley O'Brien. He's had 33 hitouts to 7, but the clearances are only in Adelaide's favour by 1. So, and from a score point of view, it's 2 goals, 2 each. So there hasn't been a real ascendancy from that point of view. So from Melbourne's point of view, they're hanging in there from that perspective, but I would like to see him open the game up a bit more.
And only 11 of his 30 hitouts have been to advantage Riley, which we thought heading in he could be the difference maker, considering Luke Jackson isn't out there. Doesn't feel like he's really capitalised on the opportunity so far.
Yeah, well, 11 hitouts to advantage is a good night.
Pretty good, isn't it? Yeah.
At 31 though.
But I guess the challenge is, and I spoke about it, is Adelaide throw that mid forward up to the stoppage. So even if they do connect, they're then kicking it forward to an outnumber, which... we spoke to Nathan Van Burley this morning on Grandstand, Aaron, around what's the balance of that? Do you play 6 forwards and can they get enough ascendancy? And VB's comment was, well, that's the discussion we always have in the box. Can we get it in there and try and hold it in there? Or do we want to try and get our hands dirty and try and force it in there to an even number contest? So at this point in time, it's an even ball game. So that method is okay. It's just whether Adelaide are able to hold on to a probably more mature better game fit side in Melbourne for the 4 quarters. And we know Adelaide's history, haven't we, fellas? We watched them, they can get scored quickly, 6, 7, 8 goals, and Melbourne are a team that do that 6, 7, 8 goals in a quick time frame as well.
They love a third quarter blitz, so we'll see what's to come on the other side of half time. Just for D's fans as well, Ben Brown wasn't seen at the back end of that second quarter, so went down into the rooms with some sort of leg issue. We'll keep you up to date at the start of the second half. But at the moment, Melbourne leading by a point at half time. The goal scorers are 3 to Petrarca, singles to Harms, Mitch and Ben Brown. And for the Crows, 2 to Walker, singles to Keys, Thilthorpe, Miller and Fogarty. The text line 0437 774 774. I'll give you some scores from around the country. We'll recap the Bombers' shock win at the MCG earlier today as well. But for now, let's get the latest from the ABC Newsroom.
ABC News with Satyam Weinstein. Heavy rain across the New South Wales coast is forecast to intensify overnight, increasing the risk of flooding. Tony Ibrahim reports.
The Bureau of Meteorology says an east coast low stretching from Port Stephens in the north to Bateman's Bay in the south could worsen over the coming 24 hours, possibly resulting in torrential rain and flooding. Steph Cook, Minister for Flood Recovery, says dams and river channels are full, increasing the risks of flash and riverine flooding.
This could occur anywhere from Newcastle down to Jervis Bay. The river system of most concern at this point is the Hawkesbury Nepean, which may reach major flood level overnight.
She says major spills from Warragamba Dam are also possible.
A federal minister says health officials are in national discussions about whether to reintroduce mask mandates amid a rise in COVID-19 cases. Senator Murray Watt says the recent rise in case numbers in Australia is very concerning, but he says the federal government's not received any health advice around whether to introduce a mask mandate.
Those decisions do tend to be made by state governments. I know that this is something that health officials have been discussing nationally, but we haven't received any advice on that at this point.
Meanwhile, COVID-19 infections are again rising rapidly in the UK, one of the world's hardest hit countries. Larry Buttrose has the details.
British statisticians estimate 2.3 million people in the UK now have the virus, or 1 person in 30. That's a rise of 32% on just a week ago. They say the rise is being fuelled by 2 new fast-spreading Omicron variants. Figures from Johns Hopkins University show the world as a whole is again seeing a rise in cases, while new vaccinations continue to flatline. Australia has the 7th highest number of new infections, while 1,268 Australians lost their lives to the disease in the past 4 weeks.
The Supreme Court in the U.S. state of Texas has blocked a lower court order that clinics could continue performing abortions. It comes just days after some doctors in Texas resumed seeing patients following the U.S. Supreme Court decision to overturn the landmark Roe v. Wade judgment. Texas clinics turning away patients, rescheduling them and now potentially cancelling appointments, all in the span of a week. It's part of a confusing picture across the country in the wake of the court's controversial ruling ending decades of abortion rights for U.S. women. An order by a Houston judge earlier this week had reassured some clinics they could temporarily resume abortions up to 6 weeks into pregnancy. The U.S. state of New York has enacted new gun laws to tighten controls despite a recent ruling by the nation's Supreme Court. Guns will be banned in many public places, including New York City's Times Square, and gun license applicants will have to provide their shooting proficiency proof and turn over social media accounts so officials can verify their character and conduct. New York Governor Kathy Hochul affirmed the stand taken by the state's legislature.
I refuse to surrender my right as governor to protect New Yorkers from gun violence or any other form of harm. We're not going backwards. They may think they can change our lives with the stroke of a pen, but we have pens too.
A traditional owner says she's concerned an extension of Woodside's existing gas plant on Murrujuga land in WA's Pilbara could enable emissions to degrade nearby rock art. This week, the Environmental Protection Authority recommended ministerial approval for the extension of the Northwest Shelf project near Karratha until 2070. The EPA report says there may be a threat to irreversible damage to rock art from industrial air emissions, accelerating natural weathering, but says there's a lack of scientific consensus. Karama Madhuthana woman Josie Alec says she's seen ancient rock art fade away within her lifetime.
When they say, these sort of statements, just for one, yes, they are admitting that they are destroying the rock art, which shouldn't even be considered.
The Victorian government says rebates for residential gas appliances will be phased out next year and new housing subdivisions won't be required to connect to gas. The changes are part of the government's gas substitution roadmap released today, which is designed to help drive down the cost of energy bills. The roadmap outlines how the state will use energy efficiency, electrification, hydrogen and biomethane to reduce gas bills and cut carbon emissions while keeping a reliable and safe supply of energy. The government says Victorian households can save thousands of dollars by switching to electric appliances.
Journey to another world as ABC Classic brings you the Classic 100 music for the screen. From Game of Thrones to The Crown, From Mario Brothers to Final Fantasy, from Jaws to Star Wars. Celebrate your favourite music from film, television and gaming with Australia's biggest weekend of classical music. The Classic 100, Music for the Screen. Log in to vote now at abc.net.au/classic.
The 2022 AFL Premiership season.
Grandstand AFL on ABC Radio and ABC Sport Digital.
This time it's a standing start. Bangs it to the scoreboard pocket and Thilthorpe at the back. Takes the mark on the chest. Tight angle right on the behind line. Tough shot. Opens the angle and snaps surely.
Great hand pass off the pack by Walker, and Miller will get the goal. It was Walker to Fogarty, forward to Miller. Boy, that was good. Oliver off the contest, gave a forward hand pass. Petrarca just inside 50, bang! Petrarca for his third of this game.
This is the 2022 AFL Premiership season.
On ABC Radio and ABC Sport Digital.
We've had some ripping footy on Grandstand AFL to continue round 16. At the moment, Melbourne lead by a point over Adelaide at the Adelaide Oval at half-time. 6-3-39 plays 6-2-38. Clayton Oliver with an impressive opening half for the Demons. He's been electric around the ground with 22 disposals. Christian Petrarca has 17 and 3 goals to his name as well. Jordan Dawson the best for Adelaide with 21 touches. I talk about thrillers because earlier today at the MCG we saw one between the Bombers and the Swans. It looked like Sydney had the game wrapped up in the early stages of the final quarter. The Bombers went on a charge, 6-3 to run out the game, winners by 9 points. The Bombers led by Zach Merritt, who had 24 touches and 3 goals. Stringer and Peter Wright also had 2 goals each. Nick Hine was electric off half-back with 25 touches as well. He hit the scoreboard as well late. Jake Kelly had 20 touches as well for Essendon. The best for the Swans, Luke Parker had 26 in game 250. Chad Warner had 25 and 3 goals. Lance Franklin had 2 alongside Heaney and Reid. But the Bombers, with an upset win, you'd say, even though it was at home, they've got just above quite comfortably above the bottom two now between the Eagles and North Melbourne with their 4th win of the year. Meanwhile, for the Swans, it puts their top 4 chances in a little bit of jeopardy. They're a game out now, percentage behind as well of Fremantle and Geelong. So the Swans losing one they probably should have got with the Western Bulldogs to come on Friday night. Going to be a tough run home for the Swans from here. In the other codes as well, in the NRL today, the Sharks defeating the Bulldogs 18-6 at the moment. 24 minutes played between the Cowboys and the Broncos. The Cowboys leading 8-6 in that matchup. Still to come today, Gold Coast and Collingwood at Carrara Stadium. We'll take you there with Brett Sprigg, Michael Price, Jeff White, Matthew Primus after this game. That's for everyone listening around the country. If you want to hear the other game, Geelong and North Melbourne at Cardinia Park with Joel Peterson, Jess Webster, Nathan Burke and Chris Johnson, jump on the AFL app for that game as well. So plenty to look forward to across round 16. We've had a great run of footy over the past fortnight and it looks like it's continuing here at the Adelaide Oval. A tight contest in this opening half. Will it remain that way considering it's the ladder leaders Melbourne up against the 13th place Adelaide? We'll wait and see. But this game last year in round 10 was a 1-point thriller that the home side won. So history says we might have a great game on our hands. Aaron Bryans, Neil Cross, Scott Camporelli, Stephen Williams with you on ABC Radio and Sport Digital. The text line 0437 774 774. Talia's messaged in from Ararat and says, hi to all. I wish the Crows played like this all season. And RIP to Neil, who did have some great tributes in the lead up to bounce down Neil Curley. His resume unmatched as an SA icon, a premiership player with multiple clubs as a captain and as a coach at times. He's a Hall of Famer in both Australian football and the South Australian Hall of Fame as well, and also represented the state as its captain 6 times. So a fitting tribute to the 88-year-old who sadly passed away during the week. Campo, Steve, I guess Tully is on the money there. It has been the frustrating point of the whole season for the Adelaide Crows that there's a ton of potential with their ball movement. Their disposal is just so poor at times that they just can't finish off the plays that Matthew Nix has clearly instilled in them.
Yeah, there has been a few instances. When you see Jordan Dawson with the ball in his hand, everything seems to flow pretty nicely. He's been a fantastic recruit for the Crows. They did well to get him to the club, and he's the future, and he's the one that they would all look up to, how to deliver the football across the ground. So But they have some talented guys in their side that can use the footy. But, just that little kick that misses by a metre or something when you're bringing the ball out of the back half can be the difference between a transition from your back 50 into your forward 50 and a shot at goal, or a turnover and a goal the other way. So although it's a mistake that only might happen on the half-back line, it can be pretty detrimental to the side. So it's an area, and that's when the sides that are lower down the ladder, that's one of the main reasons why they're there, because of their inability to transition the footy from the back half through the midfield into the forward half.
Well, and the other thing too, Steve, is they're not getting bang for their buck with inside 50s. So that quarter, to half time, they've had 8 shots on goal from 26 inside 50s, going at 31%. So season's average, AFL average, is roughly around 50%. That's probably where it's at. So they're slightly under that. So they're not actually getting bang for their buck, for their work. And that's important for a young team, a rebuilding team, that if you can actually play the game in the right way, get some scoreboard pressure on the opportunity, and execute what the coach and what you've been training during the week, that does a lot for your confidence. When you turn the ball over in really poor spots and you get counterpunched and you've done, 9 out of the 10 things right, but they go back down the other end, that's really deflating for a young group as well, and that's where they're at, unfortunately. So they're trying to build the pillar of the contest first, that everything comes off that. Yeah, they've improved in that, the consistency of that. And even see with the better team, as soon as that drops away, we saw Brisbane last week with Melbourne. When they Melbourne smashed Brisbane in that last week, even the best teams struggle in that part of the game. So they're still learning their craft in there. There's been some individuals, that have improved. There's no doubt about that. Dawson comes in, adds another string to Adelaide's bow. Barry's getting more midfield time. The thing is, from an Adelaide mid point of view, Steve, is they just don't have enough depth and some class through there. You see Petrarca, he's had, what's he had, 17 disposals and kicked 3 goals. And that's as a midfielder. He's kicked all those as a midfielder. You just don't see that from Keys. You don't see that from Laird. You don't see that from Berry. And Berry's had more tackles than possessions. So that's all well and good, but they need some elite A-grade midfielders to help them out.
From a Melbourne perspective, Steve, a 3-game losing streak, then they smashed the Lions last week. It looks like they're back to the form they had at the start of the season. It's only a half of footy. We've still got another half to go. But the fact that Adelaide is so competitive with them, does it show that they're just a little bit more gettable than we thought?
Well, we saw them get beaten here last year and win the grand final by 70 points. So it's one of those things where the motivation for Melbourne is nowhere near what it is for Adelaide in this game. Melbourne are probably rolling in, and they kicked the first, 3 or 4 goals of the game. They probably thought, here we go, this is going to be pretty easy. And once you sort of drop a little bit in that, in the attitude, it's hard to get it back. So, they're level of pretty much, or point up at half time. So I'm sure Simon Goodwin has said, look, we're going to start to put our heads down now and play a bit more efficient football, move the ball a bit quicker, and see if we can open the Crows up.
Some other news from around the league. Carlton's released a statement saying that Tom Williamson has departed the club after a leave of absence. They've mutually decided he will step away from football. Was taken pick number 61 in 2016's draft, played 44 games and is now departing the Carlton Football Club. And the MRO has found that there's only one charge from last night's game between the Saints and who did the Saints beat last night? Carlton. Mason Wood.
I beg your pardon.
Charged with rough conduct against Adam Saad, a $2,000 sanction. Melbourne leading by a point here at the Adelaide Oval. And Ben Brown is back out there, which is good news for the Melbourne Footy Club. We'll check in with Liz Welsh very shortly. Neil Cross to kick things off in this second half on Grandstand AFL.
So the Crows won the second quarter, 2-1. And out of the middle, it'll be O'Brien, got it to Berry, slipped it to Keys, and then finally to Laird, and he's clear, and he kicks it inside for at 50. Lever with a big punch. Haitley's taken it in the arms of Jordan. He gave the hand pass out. It went to Keys, and then Laird inside 50 with a follow-up. Finds Riley Thilthorpe wide out, and about 40 out from goal. Thilthorpe, so much expected of him. He was taken from West Adelaide with pick number 2 in the 2020 draft. And just playing his 6th game of the season tonight. Going to start his run from outside 50 and just on the boundary line. And he's just hooked it a bit and he won't make the distance in the end. O'Brien went up. Brayshaw tried to hand pass it through. Fogarty said, no, you don't. It went to Oliver and he's taken down in a tackle. And so we'll get a ball up between the goal and the behind post.
Not often you see a forward have to play goalkeeper. Fogarty wanted to prevent the rush. Play on inside the attacking 50 from the ruck contest. Oliver spins away out of traffic. Gets a kick up towards Petrarca. It sits up on the painted defensive 50. He couldn't claim it. Went to ground. Viney came through along with Jordan. Neither got a clean touch. Now Neil Bullen becomes the tackler on Haitley. Ball trickles out. Oliver puts his head over it. Berry on top of him. Neil Bullen goes in again and just threw it on the boot. Punched it out towards the western side. Laird diving in. He flicks a handball out straight to Petrarca. Races away from 3 Crows players. Inside he hits Pickett. The switch is on. Pickett looks to the eastern side of Langdon, who dropped it. They were out. Now he's under pressure from Keys. Gets a handball over the top. Wiedemann to right half forward finds Fritsch. Takes it on the chest uncontested. Too far out to score. Plays on around the man on the mark. Brown's leading out. He hits him on the chest. So despite the fumble from Langdon, Melbourne surged the ball forward. And the mark taken, 30 from goal, tight angle to the right.
Oh, it was Petrarca's doing it. Was his power out of there, just opened the game up, rolled into the corridor, and then Langdon, who holds his wing better than anyone in the competition, he did spill the beans, but had enough time to do it. But what a inside 50 kick from Fritsch as well.
So Ben Brown, who missed the latter stages of the second quarter with some sort of leg complaint, looks good to go.
He's going to be tired by the time he gets there.
Long run up all the way behind right half forward, as we've come to know from Ben. Booed all the way in. He'll kick from 40. It carries across the face, sits up on the behind line. It nearly looked like it was marked there, but it'll be paid the minus score. Melbourne advanced to a 2-point lead at the start of the third. 6-4-40. Adelaide 6-2-38 on Grandstand AFL.
Dawson plays on from the kick in. It looked like it was half volley. The umpire said it was. So Adelaide still retain control through Hinge. And he gets it to Laird. And Laird takes the mark at half back, eastern side. Plays on now and goes long and wide and out on the full. You won't see that too often from Rory Laird, but he's turned it over and May will take it. Stephen May for the Demons and send it back forward, you would think. They don't often go backwards. May with a kick to half forward. Big pack. O'Brien slapped it down. Viney just powered his way through. Got a head pass wide for Langdon. And then off to Neil Bullen. Inside 50. Pickett by himself in the scoreboard pocket. Chips it across looking for Harms. Harms, did he touch it? He did. Well, he said he did. And I think I'd trust him. It actually rolled through the goals. And the goal umpire will ask for a review now. But clearly Harms said, yeah, I touched it. He was trying to mark it. Oh, in fact,
Duday's finger first.
Duday's got through there. Even more, you admire the fact that Harms said, yep, it was touched. So Duday's cut off the angle, and it will be a point when we eventually get to it.
How many times can you watch that?
Yeah, let's go down to the boundary. Liz?
Yeah, Ben Brown, as you know, he's fine. Yeah. That's the word out of the Melbourne camp. But I'm now keeping an eye on Harry Schomburg. He's currently on the mats having his lower back worked on by the Crows trainers. They've just scored that a point, I'm sure. They're about to. So look, that's the second time this game he's had his lower back worked on, so I'll keep an eye on him.
Very lengthy delay from the score review.
Come on, the crowd's getting cold.
Finally, they confirm the behind. 5 minutes into the third, it's Melbourne by 3 points, 6-5-41. Adelaide 6-2-38. And the Crows again through Dawson, plays on, heads along to the western side in the front. Murray came from the side, got plenty of height, couldn't bring it down. Saligo at the front, gathered, kicked down the line. Lever had all of Miller up and spoils it out of play. Very happy with himself as the Crows fans urged to pay some sort of free kick. It was hotly contested. But we're getting that boundary throw in. Here officials tonight, Chris Donlan, Jamie Broadbent, Paul Rebashini. Toss back into play. Off Wiedemann, coming through Laird for the Crows. Uses Smith, then Haitley. Forward to Berry, along the boundary line at right half forward. Centres his kick, looking for Walker. Used the body on May and lost it in the air as May shrugged him to ground. Enabled the intercept mark to be taken. Petty looks for the switch, it's dangerous. He's put Neil Bullen under a bit of pressure, swung in the tackle, gets it back to Langdon, and now Brayshaw can take the mark just outside defensive 50 eastern side.
Brayshaw backs up, decides to take all of his 6 or so seconds. Now he's called a play on. Goes to his left foot. What a two-sided player he is. Down the line, it ends up Wiedemann. Off hands, Harms. Just hand passed it forward. 2 days picked it up. He slipped it out. Hinge was there as well. He handballed it off to Berry. Berry goes back down the line and Brayshaw comes around. Saligo takes the mark, squares it straight away. Neil Bullen, Logo centre wing. Back inside he goes to Salem. He was ruled to have marked the ball ahead of Berry. Salem's got it in the front half of the centre square.
Goes long, has a lead from Fritsch. Ran underneath the footy in the end. Butts got a hand to it. Spilled to the back to Duday, who lost it. Had to dive on the footy. Trickles out to O'Brien. He tumbles it towards the painted defensive 50. Cut off by Langdon, though, for the D's. Gets around Millerer. Kicks towards the boundary line. Brown back with the flight. Should have taken it. Lost it. And has to have scored over the boundary line under pressure from a couple of Crows. Let's check in again with Liz Walsh.
Yeah, some concern for Melbourne now. Michael Hibberd has just come from the ground. He's headed into the rooms. He's been pointing at his high top left hamstring. So I'll keep an eye on that one for you.
7 minutes into the third quarter here at the Adelaide Oval. It's a 3-point lead for Melbourne. Oliver caught in a tackle by Berry off the ruck contest. Berry makes another tackle. What are we up to now?
That's 8.
So
Sorry,
Berry
10. My bad.
I thought it was 8 for a long time.
Berry 8 possessions.
Up the. He's got 9 now. He's sent it out on that eastern side. Petrarca, middle of the pack, picked it up, dropped it, got it out. In the tackle of O'Brien. Adelaide, that'll be a dangerous tackle. Lever basically rolled into it, and the umpire said that's a dangerous tackle. And Lever is dead set, done a forward roll and got a free kick for it.
He's done very well to live up to the villain tag at the Adelaide Oval tonight. Jake Lever heads into the scoreboard pocket for the Demons. O'Brien from behind tried to wrench it away from Butts in the air. Neither claimed it. It enabled Oliver to grab the footy, but he lost it in the tackle. Keys throws it on the boot straight to Bowie, who's waiting at half forward. That quick panic clearance has undone the Crows tonight. Bowie heads inside 50. Harms has plenty of space on Duday and takes the uncontested mark. 45 out, straight in front.
That's where you just like Ben Keys to have a little bit more composure, not to just throw it on the boot, just to have a look around, see if you can get the hands out, rather than just that quick panic kick that goes straight down the ground to the opposition.
James Harms, the 26-year-old, already has a goal this evening. You'll use all of his 30 seconds in the build-up for this one. Harms starts in the centre square. Slow approach. To push it out to a 9-point game. Hammers it towards home, but it's too far left. Another minor score to the Demons. They've had 3 of those in the third to push out their half-time lead to 4 points. They're 6-6-42, Adelaide 6-2-38.
Adelaide with a couple of short kicks. Then Smith had it and he went to Keys inside the centre square. Harms this time the offender. So Keys will take it. It's at the back end of the square now and he goes across to Chase Jones just behind centre wing on this broadcast side. Jones misses his kick. Jordan comes in, holds up in the tackle of Haitley, gets away. Inboard hand pass was good to Sparrow. Inboard hand pass found Neil Bullen. Pickett, as mentioned, loose around the 50. He's taken the mark. He can go short outside, but he chooses to go short inside. And the mark taken there by Bedford. So Bedford will go back and have a look at the goals. He's about 35 out at about a 45-degree angle.
Once again, that's just that midfield turnover. Chase Jones misses a regulation target. Demons turn the ball over and it turns into a shot at goal.
So Bedford, he's rivaling Ben Brown for his lead in. Certainly in the fast bowling category. A long, long run up.
Only had the 2 disposals so far tonight.
Crosses 50. And has no problems in the end. They all go to him. And we'll go to Liz Walsh in just a moment. Melbourne 7-6-48, a 10-point lead now. Adelaide 6-2-38, 10 minutes in third quarter. Liz Walsh on the boundary for Grandstand AFL.
Looks to be good news for Melbourne's Michael Hibberd. He's emerged from the rooms. He has done a little couple of runs, back on the bench, should be back on soon.
It's For the first time since the 7-minute mark of the opening quarter, we're back to a double-digit margin. 10-point lead to the D's. It's been a back-and-forth contest at the Adelaide Oval. I'll tell you what, that kick from Pickett, if he hadn't hit Bedford, Petrarca was going to reel him in with a bit of a spray, I reckon, because he was begging for it in the pocket. Tossed up in the middle. Wiedemann won it down. Oliver head over the foot. He swung in the tackle, but got boot to ball. It sat up 5 metres for Petrarca. Handball out to Spargo. Races towards the 50. Heads into the pocket. Brown went to ground in the contest. Harms waiting at the back. Kept it in play on the boundary line. Shrugs the Dawson tackle. Runs around from 40. He snaps across the face. It'll sit up beautifully. Mark taken on the line by Mitch Brown. 3 on 3. He just got some space. Was facing the wrong direction in the end, but he pulls it in top of the goal square. And all the pressure and momentum that Adelaide was building is about to be burnt. They haven't hit the scoreboard in this third quarter, and Melbourne's about to push away. Mitch Brown comes in from 15, kicks his second goal. 16-point lead to the visitors. 8-6-54. Adelaide 6-2-38. 12 and a half played in the third on Grandstand AFL. Aaron Bryans, Neil Cross, Scott Camporelli and Stephen Williams.
Well, they've just dominated field position this quarter again, getting their hands on the footy and forcing repeat entries back inside forward 50, and it's been, as we've spoken about, some skill errors. Tom Duday, it's been a rush kick by Ben Keys and Berry, and then Chase Jones turns that one over. So those things, as we spoke about, that deflates a group very quickly, so it'll be interesting to see how Adelaide can respond.
Clayton Oliver was fantastic in the middle too, just to win that clearance. It wasn't great, but it released Petrarca, who was able to get the ball out wide, and then once again the Demons were pretty methodical going inside 50.
Underway again, and Adelaide through Schonberg just tapped it over his head. The Demons take back control. Spargo at half back just went out wide with his kick. Adelaide managed to turn it over, and then the kick down the line. Parnell gave it to Haitley, and Haitley sprayed his kick out on the full.
5 rows back, that was.
And Brody Smith sprayed Haitley for not handballing to him.
So it'll be May to take the free kick for Melbourne. Inboard he goes to Lever. That'll precipitate some boos again. Lever was going to drop it short, opted against it, now called to play on. Down the line he goes. And a huge pack. It falls to the back. Petrarca read it best and early. Went to 50 marching, and then kicks the goal right across the goal face, or rather kicks for goal right across the goal face, out beside the behind post in that old scoreboard pocket. We'll get a throw in.
That was a goal gone begging, wasn't it? He probably should have done a bit better.
Already has 3 so far this evening. That would have been great for 4. Toss back in. O'Brien in front position against Mitch Brown. Won it down. Looked to Keys, who got tackled by Spargo. Again, the quick kick cut off by Pickett, and it's been paid 15. No one really thought it was, even Cozy Pickett tried to fend off and go. But he'll take the mark. 40 out from goal, tight angle to the right.
Well, that's 8 inside 50s for 3 for the quarter. Winning contested possession and the ground ball battle. So they're the 3 key elements that Melbourne like to prey on.
Ben Keys at 33% kicking efficiency has again caused another set shot with an attempted clearance out of defensive 50. Pickett rolls in, long kick, it'll sit up on the behind line and knocked right into the left-hand goalpost. Minor score for the Demons, 17 points their lead, approaching the game high we saw at the 7-minute mark, which was 18. It's 8-7-55, Melbourne, Adelaide 6-2-38. 15 minutes played in the third on Grandstand AFL.
Jordan plays on from the kick in, looks for O'Brien. It's come off his hands to Viney. And now hand pass inside. Bowie goes down the line with his hand pass to May. Inboard, finds Viney again. He kicks it inside forward 50. Adelaide with numbers. Harms came out of that pack and Dawson took the mark. Across the goal face he goes straight away for Murray. So Murray looking to the eastern side, plays on, kicks it high and long. Coming late, Lever should take it, does. Fogarty just caught in the contest and Lever picked it off.
That's his one wood, isn't it? Just cruise across and take an easy mark.
Oh, well, it's a poor kick though, Steve. I mean, they're running out of... He should be lowering their eyes to take Lever out of that equation.
Lever back towards the 50 for Melbourne. Smith stuck a hand out, did enough to get it back to Parnell, whose kick is another turnover. Hibbard back to the top of the goal square. Harms punches late. Brown's at the back though. Ben Brown snaps around the body, too far left. Another wasted opportunity for the Demons. They should have put the Crows to the sword this quarter. 16 and a half played. Adelaide hasn't registered a score. Melbourne lead by 18. They've missed 5 shots on goal in the third.
From the kick in comes to Chase Jones. He goes to centre wing. May is there for Melbourne on the logo. Picks off the ball. Goes back to Bedford at the top of 50. Bedford follows up and was taken high, was he? No, he was pulled down. He had the ball. Umpire called play on. Keys slips a hand pass out. Rowe was involved. He gave it out to Laird. He's crunched from behind. What does the umpire think? Give it to me, he says. Back end of the centre square for Adelaide. The territory where they've been for most of the third quarter thus far.
Tossed up, Mitch Brown won it down to Clayton Oliver, threw it on the boot, back inside 50 for Melbourne. Was intended for Duday and the Crows, but he was cut off by Murray, who stuck a hand out, trickles to the back, and Cozzy Pickett can soccer off the deck for a major. Oh, that was Duday's intercept, and they mucked it up. Keziah Pickett has his first of the evening. 24-point game-high lead to Melbourne. 9-8-62, Adelaide 6-2-38, 17 played in the third. Aaron Bryans, Neil Cross, Scott Camperelli, Stephen Williams with you on Grandstand AFL.
Well, that's two. I mean, it was Murray. He actually did Bailey Fritsch. He had him cold one-on-one, but he just dropped the mark. And then the ball, once it goes over the back, as you know, Steve, you don't want to be turning around with Cozzy Pickett buzzing around in that forward 50. So the damn walls broke. We spoke about it. I mean, that should be, that's 3 goals, 5 from 13 entries. So Melbourne will be disappointed that they haven't been able to put Adelaide away and actually put them to the sword. But still not out of it, Adelaide, but you can just see the game's just shifted into Melbourne's favour right now.
Well, they've not been this far behind in the match, Adelaide. They conceded the first 3 goals, but then got them back. They've held tight till now, and they get out of the middle through Rory Laird with the clearance inside half forward. Ball comes to the front of the pack. Perry trying to burst through. No call from the umpire. He lost it as he tried to hand pass it out, and the umpire eventually comes in with Walker fighting for possession with Oliver, and will get a ball up. It's about 40 from the goal face, slightly to the right. Adelaide attacking the River Torrens end of the ground.
Walker and Wiedemann in the ruck, neither got a clean tap. Rowe spins through, lost it in the tackle. Quick clearance for Melbourne out to left half back. It bounces backwards. Jordan had to become the tackler on Haitley and carries him over the boundary line. He tossed back into play. Earlier today, the Bombers defeating the Swans by 9 points at the MCG. Still to come, the Suns and the Pies at Carrara, and the Cats and the Roos at Cardinia. Tossed back in. Phil Thorpe stuck a hand out, but it lost it in the air. Went straight through him. Spargo at the back, wrapped up in the tackle, got it away to Viney somehow. Melbourne now at the back edge of the centre square. Held up. Wiedemann's brought down in the tackle. Laird got him. Ball up to come. Liz Walsh downstairs.
Yeah, Jake Saligo has tweaked an ankle. He's just come from the ground. The Crows physio is just strapping it for him, and he should be right and back on the ground soon.
In the middle, a bit of tunnel ball. Phil Thorpe won it down straight to Clayton Oliver, who tried to pass it through his legs to Sparrow, but just couldn't get away from the tackle. We'll try again.
Adelaide Arms frantically pointing about how they're going to stop this, and they do get it away from the stoppage. Laird inside forward 50, just too high for Walker. Comes to Miller, taps it in front of him. And he turns back to the umpire as they tackle Fogarty and says, well, maybe I was being held. Umpire says, give it to me, throws it in the air. Comes out to Rochelle, then to Jordan, he gave a hand pass. Sparrow got a little kick forward. Now it comes to Viney, clears the area, back into the centre square, met by Hinge. Pickett wasn't interested in going to the ball that time. He conceded that was going to be a mark to Hinge. So from in the centre square, he comes to this broadcast side, found Haitley with the mark, on to Butts, and the running fullback delivers inside forward 50 to a huge pack. Brayshaw comes away, shares a hand pass out, and they get it away through Bowie, but only to the chest of Laird. So Laird's man on the mark is inside 50, and Laird decides to go arcing to his right foot and booms the distance, but astray. And that's Adelaide's first score of the quarter, and it comes at the 21-minute mark of the third term. Melbourne have been well on top. They've kicked 3 goals and could have had many more. The margin out to 23 points in favour of the Demons.
Salem plays on from the defensive goal square, spots May at left half back. Now heads down the western wing to a contest. Mitch Brown brought it to ground. Viney was there, spun out of trouble on the left. He heads up towards the 50. Back with the flight, Fritsch lost it against Butts, who did well. Handball over the top wasn't clean though to Laird. Butts is down behind play as well. Haitley becomes the tackler. Holds up Jordan. Ball up to come. Short of left half forward for the Demons. Butts is still down. 3 trainers around him right next to this ball up. And unlike the past 2 rounds, play will actually be stopped this time as Jordan Butts makes his way to his feet. He's caught one in the breadbasket. And it'll be taken up towards the benches as play now continues. Wiedemann slaps it down straight to Sparrow. Got a handball out to Jordan. Close to the boundary line. Wiedemann again on the left. Puts towards the top of the goal square. Fritsch pushed off Duday but couldn't claim it back with the flight. And off hands it carries over the boundary line. Left forward pocket for the Demons. Northern end leading by 23 points. Late stages of the third on Grandstand AFL.
That incident with Butts might find Pickett getting a fine for that little tap in the breadbasket. Off the ruck contest to the front, to the boundary line. Laird was in there, and the umpire says throw it in again. Petrarca appealing. Liz Walsh on the boundary quickly.
Yeah, the doctor's just checking over him. He does look to have been winded, but they've got the heart monitor on him, just checking him over.
Check everything just in case. Off the ruck contest, Petrarca runs into his own man, then gives it to Bedford from 20 metres out. How did he miss the goal face completely?
He would have missed
Sent it out on the full.
He would have missed 2 goal faces then.
He was 20 metres out, could have dribbled it through.
He might need the heart monitor on. I've never heard that.
It's got to be Shank of the Year for sure.
Heart monitor for being winded. It's unbelievable.
Duday has it in the scoreboard pocket for the Crows. Heads out towards the eastern side. He's looking for O'Brien, who has the height mismatch. Flew in the air. Taken out of it in the air. And given the pill. He'll hand it off. Has a runner outside. Gives it to Smith. Down the line. His kick's wide. Was trying to get it to Fogarty, but it's out on the full again. The same old story for the Adelaide Football Club.
This is Adelaide's ground, isn't it?
That'll be the fourth at least time that Crows have kicked the ball out of bounds on the full.
Turnover to the Demons. Back up the eastern side they go. O'Brien crunches the pack and cuts it off with a nice intercept mark. And that's what the home side wanted to see when they learnt that Luke Jackson wasn't turning up tonight.
Hasn't quite been enough at this stage. It's a 23-point margin in favour of Melbourne. O'Brien, not the greatest of kicks, but off the pack. It was taken by Smith. Plonks it inside forward 50. Dawson is down there. Well, why not? He can do it all from the back half. Why not send him forward? Dawson takes a mark. 25 out, straight in front.
Well, he's arguably been their best player. He's had 27 possessions. He's kicked it at 83%. He's had almost 600 metres gain for the game. He's had 7 inside 50s. So
they need 3 of him, one in each section of the ground.
Well, across the season, he's at 76% off the boot. So here he comes, 25 out. That's just a little wedge. And a goal for the Crows, their first of the third term. And they just creep back into the contest just a little bit. Melbourne 9-8-62, Adelaide 7-3-45, 25 down in the third quarter. Campo, I know you wanted to say something about Aaron's wedge play, but we will go down to Liz Walsh on the boundary.
Some more good news for the Crows. The doctor's given Jordan Butts a really solid look over. They've given him the tick of approval. He's back on the ground now.
So a bit of a heartbeat for the Adelaide Footy Club. 17 points, the margin now. Bite your tongue, Campo. I can see you looking at me. You've already sledged me enough tonight.
No, come on, this is called resilience.
9-8-62, plays 7-3-45. Still 3.5 to play in the third. In the middle, knocked down in front of Viney. He's wrapped up by Laird. Footy not really coming out of the centre circle, so the umpire will circle and say, give it to me.
I do want to know whether the boys saw your Instagram post doing weights in the mirror. Did you see that, Steve?
Tossed up. Wiedemann out of the middle, knocked it down straight to Saligo. Clearance coming for the Crows. Hands it to Laird. Lowered the eyes, but the kick was too high for Dawson. Had it on a platter. Lever now. Cuts it off, heads to the western side. Harms one-on-one with Jones. Beats him. Handball inside, uses Fritsch. Behind left half forward. Spots a target up on the paint of 50. Who else? Christian Petrarca. Centres his kick brilliantly to Spargo. Could have wheeled and gone. Instead does the unselfish thing and finds Charlie Spargo. 35 out. Slide angle to the left.
So the great teams just make you pay, don't they?
Oh, it's 2-goal turnaround, isn't it?
Rory
Laird hits Dawson. Dawson kicks a goal.
Correct.
He misses, and now Spargo has the opportunity.
He's had 1 goal in his last 5 games, Charlie Spargo. Goalless in 8 of 14 games this season. Hasn't been his best. Let's see what he can do. Kicks a bit soft, but it might carry. It's hit the right-hand side, or the right-hand goalpost at least. Minor score for the Demons. Back out to an 18-point lead. Charlie Spargo's drought continues.
There's no penetration in that kick at all, is there? It's like he had real tired, fatigued legs.
Adelaide brings it in, out to the eastern side, straight away. Ball goes over the pack. Thilthorpe picks it up. Gave it to Saligo. Got a hand pass out. Now he follows up. Berry's in there as well. Was held back. Umpire didn't see that. Langford was the offender. And now there's a free kick to Adelaide. Thilthorpe with a nice tackle. And holding the ball. So Thilthorpe on centre wing out there on the eastern side of the Adelaide Oval. Drives it along. Petty comes across. Intercept mark ahead of Dawson. And Melbourne will start from the back end. They've just put the pressure on and put the foot down in the third term, but Adelaide's still in touch at 18 points the margin.
Petty goes down the eastern side off the pack. Berry can crumb. Gets it out to Thilthorpe. Threw it on the boot. Spiral punt left forward pocket. Bounces in front of Lever. No one's pressuring him and he runs it through for the minor score. That is as deliberate as it gets. There was no one behind the goal square. That is what the rule is for, and it has not been paid. The Crows players legitimately stopped 20 out from goal knowing he'd do it, and they haven't paid the free kick. Minor score to the Crows, 17-point lead to the Demons.
Game back on with Salem bringing the ball back into play. Adelaide through Duday to Laird and then inside forward 50. Fogarty got rid of his man, almost took the mark. Lever picks it up forward, hand pass. Ball was dropped by Melbourne. It's play on. Umpire says play on again as Keys is thrown to ground by Viney. If nothing else, the crowd is well and truly back involved in this game.
It's good umpiring. They let that go. There's blokes ducking and trying to cause free kicks and whatever. Good umpiring.
I thought you meant on the deliberate call there, Campo.
Good umpiring.
About to get stuck in you. Laird from the pack. Send it inside 50. Fogarty taken out of the contest. Walker bowls over Brayshaw and forces his kick into the chest of Sam Berry, who takes the intercept mark. 45 out. Tight angle to the right.
Well, this will take his best kick, I would have thought. Steve, I'm not sure.
He's going to be kicking from probably 50, isn't he? Yeah. So I'm not sure he's got it in him, but
Brodie Smith just confident, hovering in the corridor there.
Had 5 goals last season, but hasn't kicked a goal this year. Sam Berry. This will be a lot of work. Starts at right half forward, tight angle, runs in, opened the angle, and as a result, he shaped it out on the full in the end as it comes off the side of the boot. Sometimes when players just run out wide to get that extra momentum, it just doesn't lead to any accuracy.
Especially if that's not your natural kicking arc.
So no score, Demons by 18.
Lever gets the rounds of the kitchen, sends the ball outside defensive 50. Off hands it came for Petrarca, who was running forward of the play. But the siren beat him. So Adelaide's still in touch, but Melbourne showing their quality in that quarter apart from their finishing in front of goals. And they probably lived up to their standard in terms of being ranked 16th for scoring shot conversion, Melbourne. They still lead at three-quarter time. It's Melbourne 9-9-63, Adelaide 7-4-46.
A 17-point margin certainly flattering considering the Demons' dominance in the third quarter. The goal scorers 3 to Petrarca, 2 to Mitch Brown, singles to Harms, Bedford, Pickett and Ben Brown. To the Crows, 2 to Walker, singles to Keys, Thilthorpe, Dawson, Millerer and Fogarty. It's been great to have your company on this Saturday triple header of footy if you're headed to Carrara next. Geelong and North Melbourne still to come as well at Gdynia Park. Earlier today, the Bombers defeating the Swans by 9 points. On ABC Radio and ABC Sport Digital, this is Grandstand AFL.
Power outages can occur at any time. You may lose your electricity, internet, mobile phone service and landline access. And outages can last for days or even weeks at a time. A battery-powered radio may be your only source of information during an outage or in an emergency. Now is the time to check your radio works, has plenty of spare batteries, and make sure it's tuned to your local ABC radio station. ABC Radio is your emergency broadcaster.
The 2022 AFL Premiership season.
Grandstand AFL on ABC Radio and ABC Sport Digital.
Pickett, as mentioned, loose around the 50. He's taken the mark. He can go short outside, but he chooses to go short inside. And the mark taken there by Bedford. So Bedford will go back and have a look at the goals. Crosses 50 and has no problems in the end.
Harms waiting at the back, kept it in play on the boundary line, shrugs the Dawson tackle, runs around from 40, snaps across the face. It'll sit up beautifully. Mark taken on the line by Mitch Brown. Melbourne's about to push away. Mitch Brown comes in from 15, kicks his second goal. Brown won it down to Clayton Oliver, filled on the boot, back inside 50 for Melbourne. Was intended for Duday at the Crows, but he was cut off by Murray, who stuck a hand out, trickles to the back, and Cozzy Pickett can soccer off the deck for a major.
Taken by Smith, plonks it inside forward 50. Dawson is down there. Well, why not? He can do it all from the back half. Why not send him forward? Dawson takes a mark, 25 out, straight in front. So here he comes, 25 out. That's just a little wedge. And a goal for the Crows, their first of the third term.
This is the 2022 AFL Premiership season.
On ABC Radio and ABC Sport Digital.
Welcome back to the Adelaide Oval, where the Demons have pushed out to a 17-point lead after a 4-goal-to-1 third term. The Crows and the D's in round 16 action earlier today. The Bombers defeated the Swans by 9 points. Still to come if you'd like to hear Geelong and North Melbourne at Gdynia Park. Jump on the AFL app. Everyone with us though, you're headed to Carrara for what could arguably be the game of the round. Gold Coast and Collingwood coming up next. To preview it all, here's Brett Sprigg.
Aaron, these are the games that can have real consequence for the top 8. The Pies are the form team in the competition, having won 5 on the bounce, and tonight they welcome back Jordan De Goey after the mid-season bye-round saga and recent absence. The spotlight will no doubt be on him tonight more than usual. Still hard to get a read on the Gold Coast Suns, who have an even ledger at 7 wins and 7 losses. Still a couple of games outside the 8, having most recently lost by 2 points to Port Adelaide over there in Adelaide last week. And tonight they'll unveil 2 debutants. Jack Cheetahs, the 27-year-old, picked up as a mature age rookie after he shared the McGarry medal in South Australia with Bryce Gibbs last year, and a late-in Huego Paul Awaya, the Papua New Guinean known as Ace. He is in for Chris Burgess. Connor Butterick also returns with the Suns back from a hamstring injury. All that and Daryl Braithwaite happening as we speak here at Carrara pre-game. They were hoping for a good holiday crowd up here, but the wet weather has been less than favourable. We'll see if that plays its part over the 4 quarters of game action here as well. Can't wait, Aaron. Massive game. The Suns and the Pies coming your way next.
Looking forward to it, Spriggy. As I mentioned, if you do want to hear the Geelong and North Melbourne call, just jump on the AFL app. But all states headed to Carrara next for the Suns and the Pies. Here at the Adelaide Oval, Aaron Bryans, Neil Cross, Scott Camporelli, Stephen Williams, Liz Walsh with you for the Crows and the Demons. Melbourne leading by 17 points. On the text line, Bill says the Crows' skills have been an issue for many months. But any improvement, question mark, doesn't look like it. Change personnel or game plan. Well, Bill in the Sandful today, Matt Crouch had another 41 touches. So there's a big name missing for them in the middle out there tonight. I'm not sure if that's the difference maker, Campo, but it's certainly, I guess, hurting them at the moment.
Yeah, 42. I had a look, 42, 11 clearances, 2 goals.
It was 42. They've taken one off him. So.
Right. Okay, 41. But it doesn't matter. When you're having over 40, it doesn't really matter too very far from there. But you know, that's another interesting week in the in your job, Aaron, to see whether they give him another opportunity. But back to this game, really important last quarter for Adelaide. They can't let this blow out. They've been in the game for most of it. Their first score was at the 21-minute mark of that last quarter. So Melbourne dominated that quarter with inside 50s, contested possessions and ground balls, which is their number one wood.
Steve, your tip from here?
Yeah, it's certainly Melbourne. That 9 shots a goal they had that quarter to 3, so they probably should have put it away, but the Crows are still close enough.
The Demons by 17 points on ABC Radio and Sport Digital. Let's see what the home side can do in response. High bounce in the middle. O'Brien wins it down for the Crows. It trickles through Oliver to Viney. Tackled as he got a handball clear. Backwards it went. Schomburg can sock off the deck. Miller comes out to meet it. Gives it back to Schomburg. Laird can race to 30. Receives it and converts. An absolute procession out of the middle by the Crows. Slick ball movement. That is the response they needed to start the fourth. 11 points the lead to Melbourne. 9-9-63. Adelaide 8-4-52. Liz Walsh on the boundary.
The Crows are unsurprisingly winning the hit-outs right now. It's about 46-12, but it might be taking a toll on Riley O'Brien. He's had a lot of work on his back in that three-quarter time huddle.
Carrying the Crows, maybe.
Just some really nice, clean work, and Wayne Miller was the player that was able to just gather it. Yep. First grab, terrific handball to release, and from then on it was all Adelaide.
That's the old story of the old Jack Odie line, reflex handball. So back in the middle, Melbourne, their list overall is a year older on average, and they've got 25 more games of experience. And Adelaide's hanging in there. Out of the middle, Oliver tried to slip a hand pass. Still battling away. Viney was there. Got the foot to the ball. Mongrel kick inside 50, and Hinge did well to take it with one grab defensively for Adelaide. About 40 out from the goals.
Heads wide to Haitley at left half back, just inside the field of play. Quiet night for him so far, at least an unimpactful one. This will be disposal number 13 as he heads up the broadcast wing to the logo. Front position, Dawson. Sport from behind. Went down to Neil Bullen for the Demons. Flicks a handball out to Bowie. Now Jordan looks inside the 50. Petrarca's all alone. He takes it 48 out. Tight angle to the right.
Alex Neil-Bullen's done some, he's not a spectacular player, but when he gets a touch, it normally results in something pretty good happening for the Melbourne Footy Club.
Christian Petrarca has 3 for the evening already. And this will be disposal number 24. This will certainly be the hardest set shot he's had. Petrarca. Methodical approach. Kicks close to the man on the mark and pulls it across to the top of the goal face. It clears the pack. Waiting at the back, Saligo got a handball out to Butts. He's under immediate pressure. Uses Laird, back to Saligo. They can exit defensive 50 to the eastern side, but Salem sits underneath it. He cuts it off with the intercept mark for Melbourne.
So Salem backs up. Most of Adelaide's players inside defensive 50. So Salem goes across the ground. The mark taken by Bowie. So Bowie then plays on inside, attacking 50. Wiedemann was at the front, ball was knocked away. Near the top of the 50. Miller with the hand pass back to Laird. Dump kick outside 50. Fogarty made a contest illegally. No, got one high. So just behind centre wing. Quick chip wide. Finds Rowe. Rowe decides to play on. Sends it down the line. May says thanks for that. He takes a really solid intercept mark. Dawson and Walker came across there. Walker stayed down. He's very slow to get up. We'll keep an eye on that. Limps away from the area. May, meanwhile, backs up inside defensive 50, goes straight across the goal face. Boozer, because, yes, Jake Lever has the ball.
That's May's 12th intercept possession for the game so far.
Lever pops it short. And the mark taken by Jordan at right half back. Slow approach from Melbourne here as they head up the western wing. Broadcast side, Butts comes across in the pack. Outmarks Mitch Brown. Looks back for some switch options.
He's got them.
Has a couple if he wants to use them. Instead he goes short. Was it 15? Umpire says yes, just. Chase Jones has it. Kicks a bit long for Hinge as he looks to now go for the switch at half back. No pressure though, so Hinge can mop it up. Head long to centre wing on the eastern side to Saligo. True centre wing. He races around Langdon and then gives the handball off wide. Parnell close to the boundary line. Spots Miller down the line. He kicks it down the paint and just wide enough to go out.
That 5 tonight, Steve? It's a bit like Cardinia Park, isn't it?
It's been all on that eastern side as well as they try to move the footy from end to end.
Yeah, they brought the boundary in just for the game.
Free kick to Melbourne.
Brayshaw runs off, gives it short to Salem. Gives a hand pass away to Brayshaw, back to Salem. Booms his kick down the line. Duday and Brown. Ben Brown comes from behind. No, the umpire says no mark. Hinge takes it, gives it across to Duday. Puts himself under pressure. Got it out again. Umpire said it was in the back. Now he's saying play on. And Rory Laird had stopped and said, I don't want to play on. So the umpires recalled it. And Duday at half back on the eastern side of the Adelaide Oval. Cool night. Temperature now probably under 10 degrees. Drives the ball long down the line. Off hands Laird. Flicks out a hand pass forward to Miller. Down to half forward. He got it to Rowe. And Rowe couldn't go any further because he was slung across the boundary line by Bowie. Throw in right half forward for Adelaide. They're still in the contest, but they need to work on it. They trail by 11 points.
Shot of Max Gawn in the coach's box. He should be back next week for the ruckless Melbourne at the moment. Speaking of rucks, it clears them from this boundary throw-in. Laird can gather, gives it back to Smith for the Crows. Back with the flight as he kicked. He just fell away from the footy. It skied upwards, sat up for Langdon, took it, caught in the tackle and threw it out. Not holding the ball. Free kick to the Adelaide Crows, right half forward for that throw. Going the way of Riley O'Brien. The ruckman heaves it inside 50, scoreboard pocket. Thilthorpe gets the sit, clears the pack. Lever fumbled at the back. Bedford can mop it up, gives it to Petty. Heads into space at right half back. There's no one there. It'll bounce over the line again. That is deliberate, and this time it's paid. Free kick to Adelaide. Parnell plays on quickly, runs inside, centres his kick, sat up too long for Dawson, spoilt down by May. Oliver can gather, paint a defensive 50, got it out to Petrarca, tumbles it wide to Langdon, he can go, races through the eastern side. Brown has some space on Duday, comes inside and marks over the head of him. Wanted to keep going, Duday stuck a hand out to cut him off. Brown short of left half forward, looks inside to Petrarca, kicks a bit high, stuck a hand out, couldn't reel it in, becomes the tackler on Laird. Neil Bullen comes in as well, but Miller can mopping up at the back. Adelaide at right half back, look to exit, but the kick is awful again.
And somehow Walker has marked it on the line. Inboard with his kick straight away to Laird. Down to half forward, Thilthorpe. Nobody inside in forward 50. Thilthorpe, though, plays on, centres the ball. Keys couldn't mark it. He'd run down inside forward 50 in the hope. Now it's Brayshaw over the ball, and it's holding the ball. Well, there's the affirmation from the crowd. They agreed with that. Why wouldn't they? Keys will have a shot. He's 25 out. He's straight in front. Well done by Thilthorpe. He took his time trying to find somebody inside forward 50. I think at one stage it was 4-1 in favour of Melbourne. Now Keys will have a shot at goal.
It's a little stiff. He did drag it back in, to be fair, but he let it go and Keys just held it to his body.
Keys comes in, kicks the goal. Oh boy, we have a close one. Adelaide creeps back to within 5 points. 9-4-58, trailing the Demons 9-9-63. We've crossed over 8 minutes in the final quarter. Neil Cross, Aaron Bryan, Stephen Williams, Scott Camporelli with you for this one.
Well, it makes a difference when you hit targets. Taylor Walker, I mean, it wasn't a great kick for Taylor Walker to mark, but he marked it and then hit that one inside the Rory Laird. And then Laird just touched Riley Thilthorpe, and Stephen May just dropped off him, hoping that he would just lose composure and kick it blindly inside forward 50, but the big fella did well. He lowered his eyes, he hit it back into the corridor to Keys, who obviously could have marked it, but it was well done by Brayshaw. But game on now.
It was the Crows by a point last year in a thriller. Melbourne by 5 at the moment. The home side couldn't do it again, could they? In the middle, Oliver gets it out to Viney under pressure to Salem. Now Langdon on the eastern side. Pushed as he kicked it. Smith should have cut it off with the intercept mark. Couldn't take it in the air. Now becomes the tackler on Viney. Holds him up on the logo. Ball up to come centre wing. Cracking game of footy after a dull third term where it looked like Melbourne had raced away. Off the ruck contest, Saligo's kick smothered by Oliver. Ricochets out to Langdon for the Demons. Retreats with the handball to Salem. Down the line, he's looking for Pickett, who was late against Dawson. Brought it to ground. Oliver's collected. No free kick. He's caught one in the face. Still down. Adelaide race away. Keys heads towards half forward. Fogarty's outnumbered. Flew early as well. No free kick, but Melbourne come up at the back. Lever uses Bowie. And back towards centre wing he goes with a wide kick to Langdon.
There's the difference. It was just inside the boundary line. Langdon gives a hand pass over the top. They get away with it. It gets back to Langdon through Viney and Oliver. Now to half forward. Mitch Brown slides in, takes the mark. Left half forward, eastern side of the ground. Goes into the pocket with a kick. Butts got across. Got it away from Fritsch and over the boundary line. Hasn't been a great game for Bailey Fritz in game number 100 for the Demons. Ball to be thrown in. Adelaide have crept back into the match, trailing by 5 points. Demons yet to score in the final quarter. Adelaide has the only 2 goals.
Crowd's found its voice. Plenty in the house. We'll get an official figure as soon as we can. Toss back in. O'Brien beats Mitch Brown, slapped it in the path of Petrarca, shrugged the tackle, got a handball out to Oliver. Now Langdon in space, left forward pocket, bouncing ball, tight angle, finishes from 20. There was no one on the goal line. And Langdon tumbled it through. Halts the momentum of the Crows. Back to an 11-point lead for the Demons. 10-9-69. Adelaide 9-4-58. 12 minutes to play in the final quarter on Grandstand AFL.
Petrarca and Oliver again just big and strong around the contest. One to the other, then out to Langdon, who once again just keeps his distance. Just gets away from the pack and is out there to be used. And a nice goal from a tough angle.
So they've set up grandstand finish in this game, you would think. Melbourne 10-9, Adelaide 9-4. Campo, you mentioned earlier, Adelaide's conceded 100 plus. I can tell you that's 6 times this season. 90 plus, another 3 times. So they do give away goals and they can concede in a hurry. Let's see how this one winds down. Out of the middle, it'll go forward from Oliver to Petrarca. Blind turn, out of trouble. Hand pass forward. Mitch Brown inside forward 50. Ben Brown might have been held. Umpire call play on. Pickett knocked it out. Neil Bullen around the corner. Spargo couldn't half volley it. Now he's picked it up. Flips out a hand pass. Viney rushes the kick. It's a goal. They just are irrepressible. It's unbelievable how quick and hard they are to the ball, Melbourne. They get another goal. Now they've got some breathing space. 2 goals apiece in the final quarter. Melbourne by 17 points. 11-9-75. Adelaide 9-4-58. 12 gone in the final quarter.
Well, they just kept the ball alive, didn't they? They just kept flicking around. It was a centre bounce clearance, but it just kept bobbling around. But Melbourne were always the first ones on it. They were the ones that were making the play, but really nice finish from Jack Viney. Not a noted goal kicker, but just followed that ball out of the centre bounce, and nice finish. Gives them just a little bit of breathing room, as you said, Crossy.
Yeah, the big midfielders just don't get intimidated. They just hang on to the ball, hang on to it, and wait for the moment to release it.
17-point lead. O'Brien in the middle, slapped it down to Laird, gives it to Keys under pressure, spun and kicked towards the 50. Brayshaw was brilliant in the air, smashed it back with the fist. Spargo lost it over the footy. Sparrow, he couldn't gather either, paddles it back to Neil Bullen, who's spun down by Berry. Another tackle for Sam Berry. Gee, that'll be number 13 for the evening. He had 13 last week as well. Tossed up in the middle. O'Brien tried to take it out of the pack, threw it on the boot. Too short for Brayshaw. It's paid. Slips catch. Down on the painted defensive 50. The Demons have the footy.
Brayshaw comes wide with his kick and he almost hit the first row. Trouble is, the first row of the grandstand is not what you want. So it's out on the full. Miller takes it. Inboard he goes for Adelaide. Parnell just ahead of centre wing with the ball in hand. Arcs around and then pulls his kick nicely. Finds Jordan Dawson. So Dawson gets around Sparrow and goes centrally with his kick. It's Keys. He won't have the distance here. He's right on 50, the man on the mark. Keys backs up. Oh, he's got Murray beside. He was interested in a handball receive. Keys is going to have to put this at the top of the goal square, you'd think. He's taken up all of his time now. And now he's arced around to the left, tried to go long and hard, and he's kicked it out on the full. You talk about composure, Campo. Maybe that's a situation where he could have thought it better.
Well, great coach Don Pike used to say, you just swim between the flags. So you know exactly what you can do and what you can't do.
That's right. That's not his game, is it? That big kick from there.
17-point lead to Melbourne. They look to exit defensive 50 off the pack. Lairds handball to Dawson. Just missed him. And over the boundary line, it'll be tossed back into play. Left half forward for the Crows. 11-9-75 Melbourne. 9-4-58 Adelaide. Earlier today, Essendon defeating Sydney by 9. Aaron Bryan's Neil Cross, Scott Camporelli, Stephen Williams with you. O'Brien wins it out of the ruck contest to Keys. Back to Millerer. Bangs it on the boot inside 50. Mark taken by Rochelle, who had Hibbert all over him.
Punch from behind.
Outmatched in height, weight, age, experience. And still the mark is taken by the youngster Josh Rochelle.
He's had a quiet night, 4 possessions.
Quiet run of form, really. Goalless in 3 of his last 7. Man on the mark, 35 out, side angle to the left.
Put this one down, Aaron.
Rochelle comes in to give the Crows some life. He finishes truly. Rochelle's on the board. 11-point game at the Oval. Melbourne 11-9-75. Adelaide 10-4-64. 9.5 to play in the final term on Grandstand AFL.
Well, it was a clearance win. Ben Keys got his hands on it. It was just a quick kick to Wayne Millerer. But what I liked is Adelaide just said, no, we're going to take a 6v6 forward line and then ask you to defend. So well done, Adelaide's coaching box. Good mark. Rochelle, poor by Hibbert.
Just had to punch it, didn't he?
Yep.
But the Crows just still haven't gone away. They've just kept having a go, kept asking the question. So they're still close enough. All set up for a 1-point win.
Well, Stephen Williams is the answer after all. Rochelle with 17 goals. Ball comes out at all to Petrarca. Petrarca just sends it down to half forward. Contest there. Sparrow got the ball away and then went straight to goal. Demons took all of 20 seconds just to punch the ticket again. So Melbourne get that margin back to 17 points very quickly. Melbourne 12-9-81. Adelaide 10-4-64. Grandstand AFL on ABC Radio and ABC Sport Digital.
Well, that hurts. I mean, Adelaide have obviously controlled the hit-outs, but that's Melbourne's 3rd goal from centre bounce. Adelaide have only got the 2. So, and from stoppage, we spoke about the influence of Riley O'Brien and what that does. Melbourne 7 goals 4 to 4 goals 2 from stoppage. So Melbourne have got their noses in front from that perspective.
17-point lead to Melbourne once again, just keeping the Crows at arm's reach.
Petrarca once again, just his strength to get around tackles and get the ball out the middle.
Keep having the answer, the visitors. Wiedemann in the middle against Thilthorpe. The Crows ruck, or temp ruck, run it down to Barry's chicken wings. Lost the footy, holding the ball. Free kick to Christian Petrarca, who's been elite this evening. Disposal 29, 3 goals. Heads high inside 50. Butts in front position against Fritsch, who's been quiet in game 100. Knocked it down to Neil Bullen. Langdon's open. Pain of attacking 50. Pops it short. Mitch Brown takes it. Tightest of angles on the boundary line. 35 from home, left forward pocket.
Just holding that width again, is he? He's unreal out there, isn't he?
Well, and that's the challenge, Steve. You've got Jackson Haitley, who's an inside player, trying to play an outside role. So those guys get caught going in, trying to get in and impact the contest, and you leave those outside guys who read the game really well.
What an inclusion Mitch Brown has been for Luke Jackson. For goal number 3, it carries across the face. Intercept taken on the behind line by Thilthorpe, who flew up above the pack. Now the Crows have it in the left back pocket, kicking to the northern end in this final term. Dangerous kick down the line, hits Parnell, still just inside defensive 50.
Parnell sends it towards the boundary line.
That's the kick we don't like. No, like they get in the corridor and then they go laterally straight across to the boundary line. You're pinned in one side of the ground.
Jordan Butts.
He's going to kick it out in the full again.
Not quite. Big fly from Fogarty. Ball came to the front. Parnell went in. Ball was ripped away from him, and the umpire said that was holding them holding the man. So Parnell inside with his kick finds Laird. They still haven't got outside half back. Laird looks around, thinks about his options. Now he decides to go straight down the line on this broadcast side. Big pack forming. Over the top it went. Well read by Brayshaw. Handed it off. Viney wants his left foot, gets it, sends it straight back. Crows have numbers here, but surely should have been paid the mark. Harms picks it up, knocked it away after Butts had already stopped it in the air, and the ball is trapped in under the pack. We'll get a ball up.
Brody Smith's had a night to him.
that was dead set holding the ball there, Brody Smith.
He's had an absolute mad night, Brody.
Ball up, beats both rucks. Viney comes through. Got it on the boot, inside 50 for Melbourne. Butts crunches the pack, cleans up two players. Petrarca's at the back, swarms, snaps, and hits the left-hand goalpost. Yeah, that could have iced the game. Now it's a 3-goal margin, and Petrarca's a bit ginger after that as well. He's caught one late. Melbourne 12-9-81, Adelaide 12-10-82 rather. Adelaide at 10-4-64. So that 18-point margin. Time on in the fourth.
Murray brings it out for Adelaide on this broadcast side. Straight off the pack, Duday. Oh, and then he put his head down. Got his foot to the ball, kept it under control, put his head down again. Got a little kick over the top. Don't know if that would have been paid if it had been marked. And Fogarty's thrown one there at Lever. And the umpire saw it, so it's going to be a free kick. The ball went over the boundary line, but now you've got Oliver and Viney, and Viney's trying to put a wrestling move
a leg
on Fogarty. It will be a free kick. Fogarty will get reported for that, I think. Just a little punch. I would wager a lot of money that Lever said a word or two, and Fogarty said, yeah, cop that. And he's going to be punished for that. Down the line goes the kick from the free kick, and it is punched out of play by Adelaide coming from behind. The big punch there, I think it was Murray. So we'll get a throw in right half forward for the Demons, who are just holding off Adelaide, just at arm's length.
And the boos lever on the big screen is where the boos are coming from.
Love it.
18-point lead to the D's off the ruck contest. Wiedemann tries to bust out of the Schomburg tackle. Oliver comes in, takes it away. Quick kick around the body, bounces through Sparrow. Pickett becomes the tackler, 45 from home. Ball not really going anywhere. It'll be tossed up just inside attacking 50. Liz Walsh downstairs.
Yeah, what you could see after that Fogarty hit was that Jake Lever actually crawled from the ground. He's just been discussing things with the trainers, and he seems fine, to be honest.
Quick kick out of the ruck contest by O'Brien through the centre square. Oliver becomes the tackler. Melbourne will get away with this. Salem flicks a handball out to Jordan on the western wing. Over the head of Viney. Neil Bullen at the back lost it as well. Miller can mop it up. His handball a bit soft to Schomburg. Did enough to get it back to him, and he spots Keys in the middle. Who can go? Turns, heads to the 50. Walker's 2-on-1. Got a hand to it. Brought it down, put it in the path of Murphy. He's got Petty to beat, who got some space on him. Shrugs the tackle. And now Bowie can clear for Melbourne out to left half, back to Sparrow.
They've got the answers, Melbourne, at this stage. Sparrow, former South Adelaide player, or should we say these days a South Adelaide product. He goes down the line, finds Wiedemann. Wiedemann's got Langdon. There's a surprise. Langdon running hard from the wing. Chipped over the top, Langdon with the mark. Between half forward and centre wing for the Demons. Out there on the eastern side, arcs around on the right foot, sends it long. Big pack, Fritsch. As we said, hasn't done a lot in game number 100, but he's taken that mark. 40 out, slightly to the left, and he'll have a look at the goal face. Just centre of a Crows sandwich in many ways, and got the knee into the back of Duday, and Murray couldn't prevent him from taking the mark. So Bailey Fritsch with a throwback haircut, almost to World War II, I think.
Peaky Blinders.
Great show, Steve.
In he comes, off the left foot, lays back on the kick, and he's got it just inside the left post. So a goal for Fritsch. Demons come from everywhere to congratulate him. As I said, game number 100, that's the reason. And that's put to bed the contest, I think.
Well, Jordan Butts has had a good night on him. Jordan Butts has been on him most of the night, and he does get the best forward or the most dangerous forward. He's done a really good job on him tonight, so he'd be disappointed with that. Not that he was on him at that stage. It was Murray that couldn't quite get it done. But they just keep responding, don't they, Melbourne? They get challenged. But once again, I mean, we can be really critical, Steve. It was a great kick by Wayne Miller, and that's why he's in the team. He opened Keys up through the corridor,
no penetration.
and then it was no penetration, and just kicked it to the wrong side of Taylor Walker, and they counter-punch you again. So, no wonder Matthew Nicks has got no hair.
24-point lead to the Demons, 13-10, 88 to 10-4, 64. 4 minutes to play. Looks like the visitors are home. Viney's handball cut off by Murphy. He lost it to Oliver. Viney goes again. Handball forward to Harms, shrugs the tackle of Keys and gives it off to the runner. Jordan uses Oliver. Back out wide to Jordan in front of the benches. He can pop it short to Harms, who kept running. Those three players just gained about 20 metres of territory between them. Nice little triangle work for the Demons. Harms slowing things down. And now we'll go long into the right forward pocket. Brown gets a run at it, had some space on Murray, who did well to close the gap and knock it out of bounds for a boundary throw-in. So Melbourne headed towards their 12th win of the season, and they'll stay in top spot. It's only really in doubt if they had a significant loss tonight, which wasn't really on the cards.
Tap from the ruck contest by O'Brien. In comes Petrarca again, stands up under pressure, got a hand pass out and receives one back. Dodges around one, kicks it inside, forward 50, big pack again. Comes to Viney, he tries to shake a tackle, then got it somehow to Sparrow. Still ball bobbling around. Smith, his kick smothered for Adelaide. Ball on the ground again. Haitley was in there. Finally came out to Butts. He tried to flick out a hand pass. Pickett made a tackle and Duday didn't have it when he tackled him. So they're free kick to Adelaide, but Melbourne managed to smuggle that ball 20 metres forward without any clean possession whatsoever.
A rolling maul, wasn't it? They just moved it along the ground.
D's by 24, 26 played in the fourth. Out of defensive 50 go the Crows. O'Brien in front position, lost it in the contest. Oliver's handball cut off by Schomburg. He tried to go inside defensive 50 and is sore after the tackle as well, grabbing his shin. Meanwhile, Keys gets it out to Berry. 1-2 with Hinge. Berry has space in the corridor to run through. Heads towards right half forward. Awful kick. Clean split between two teammates. Somehow found Hibbert in the middle. He cut it off. Out to Langdon, and now Salem can settle on the pain of defensive 50, and really that's the tale of the night. The Crows have been bullish, have taken the game on, but they've turned it over at the most costly times, heading towards half forward, and Melbourne now will slowly play this out with 2 minutes on the clock.
Salem sent it short to Langdon for possession number 32. He took the mark and kicked it down the line, and now it's out of bounds off the pack. It'll be a throw in just ahead of centre wing out there on the eastern side of the Adelaide Oval. Crowd of just over 30,000 here tonight. They've seen Adelaide put up a fair scrap, but Melbourne's shown their class. Ball off the pack, down long, boos, yes, here they come. It was Smith who barreled the kick down the line, and Lever took the intercept mark.
Well, they can boo him where they like. That's his 13th intercept possession.
Well, to be fair, mostly Adelaide's been kicking to him as if he was in Adelaide colours. So they go back down to half forward through Berry. Walker took the mark. Forward hand pass finds Murphy. Dodges around May like he wasn't there. Lever surely grabbed Fogarty before the ball ever got there. It'll be off the hands. Keys picks it up, rolls home. A minor score. From 20 metres out, off the outside of the boot, under a little bit of pressure, the minus score. So it's a 23-point margin closing in on full time.
Stephen May, part of that dynamic duo with Jake Lever, has it in the scoreboard pocket. They've been outstanding this evening. Coming up shortly, we'll take you to Carrara for the Suns and Collingwood. Geelong and North Melbourne at Cadinia on the AFL app if you'd like to hear it. As May exits defensive 50. Finds Wiedemann. He plays on up the eastern side. Long ball to left half forward for the Demons. In the pack, Hinge is beaten by Petrarca, who just disposed of him with a hand. Jeez, a good footballer. Gives it to Langdon, inside 50 for the D's. Somehow got it in the hole between Viney and Fritsch. Viney comes in, applies the tackle, spills out to Neil Bullen, can't get away from Three Crows, tries again, slid in below the knees, no free kick. Berry lost it in the shuffle, coming through, Smith threw it on the ball, tried to centre his kick, it tumbled past Thilthorpe. Brayshaw lost it as well. Finally, Petty can pick it up for Melbourne, heads inside 50 and finds Ben Brown, who marks 35 out straight in front. Ben Brown will have a shot after the siren. And Melbourne will notch their 12th win of the season. It's all about percentage now. Ben Brown walks back to the centre circle. Man on the marks at 35.
It's a lot of room around him that you can't enter.
The tall forward's outstanding this evening. Mitch Brown had 2. Ben Brown looking for his second as well. Plenty of choices heading forward for the Demons. Brown comes in. Long run up, but a great finish. The icing on the cake. The Demons ensure history doesn't repeat. They hang on against the gallant Crows and win by 29 points.
It's a grand old flag, it's a high-flying flag, it's the emblem for me and for you. It's the emblem of the team we love, the team of the red and the blue. Every heart beats true for the red and the blue, and we sing this song to you. Should old acquaintance be forgot, keep your eye on the red and the blue.
Tight contest to start the game. It was Melbourne by 7 after a swing of momentum shifts. At half-time, it was Melbourne by 1 as the Crows continued to surge until the Demons took over in the third. They should have really punished Adelaide, kicking multiple behinds, but it was a 4-goal-to-1 term. They led by 17 at three-quarter time and then finally kicked the last 3 goals of the game to finish 29-point victors, 14-10-94 to Adelaide's 10-5-65.
It's a grand old flag, it's a high-flying flag, it's the emblem for me and for you. It's the emblem of the team we love, the team of the red and the blue. Every heart beats true for the red and the blue, and we sing this song to you. Should old acquaintance be forgot, keep your eye on the red and the blue.
Christian Petrarca leading the charge, 33 disposals, 3 goals. Mitch Brown and Ben Brown had 2 each, singles to Harms, Viney, Bedford, Langdon, Fritsch at Sparrow and Pickett. Meanwhile for the Crows, 2 to Walker, Keys, and singles to Thilthorpe, Rochelle, Dawson, who also had 30 touches to his name. Rory Laird, who had 32. Millerer and Fogarty to round out the goal kickers. Melbourne by 29 points. Essendon earlier today defeating Sydney by 9, and in 7 minutes' time we'll take you to Carrara for the Suns and the Pies, with Geelong also playing North Melbourne at Cardinia Park. Scott Camporelli, Stephen Williams, break it down for us all.
Yeah, well, it was probably Melbourne jumped them obviously early. Adelaide got back onto even kill at half-time, and we thought it was going to be a decent game, but we know that Adelaide, their Achilles heel is they get scored quickly. That third quarter, Melbourne flexed their muscles and they dominated that quarter around contested possession, ground ball and inside 50s, and probably should have put them away. They had 3 goals, 6 for the quarter, so that was allowed Adelaide just to keep their noses in the game, but then once again, that last quarter, Melbourne were able to kick 5 goals to Adelaide's only 3 in that last quarter. But after half-time, 20 inside 50s to 30, Melbourne really dominated the game from there. For mine, yeah, Adelaide got within a sniff, but for mine, just not enough polish and not enough class through the middle of the ground. And, you know, once again, Oliver, Petrarca, Langdon, Viney, these experienced guys through the midfield, real class. And then you've got the intercept defenders in May and Lever, who Lever had 14 intercept possessions, May had the 12, and Brayshaw had 11 as well. So that's why they're the best intercept team, because they set themselves up from there. They defend really hard, and then they counterpunch it, and they kick 7 goals from that source. So we spoke about Riley O'Brien, what his influence. He couldn't have done any more from a big fella point of view. got his hand 57 hit-outs to 13, but doesn't really matter because Melbourne still kicked 7